Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Well, I mean, when you asked me about, like, the attack in the U.S. over the holidays, you're going to have to be more specific. I mean, are you talking about the attack a couple of days before Christmas, when a woman was set on fire on the New York subway? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're talking about the guy who got pushed in front of the train, the subway train, on New Year's Eve day? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're talking about the mass shooting on New Year's Eve in Illinois, or the shooting in Mississippi, or the shooting in Ohio, or the shooting in Chicago? Or you're talking about the mass shooting in New York on New Year's Eve? Or is it the guy who drove his car into a crowd in New Orleans? Or is it the Tesla truck that blew up in Las Vegas? Which one are you talking about? I'm going to need to know which one of these acts of wanton violence, which one of these acts of wanton violence is the one that interests you? Which one of these bothers you? I mean, I can guess.
When it gets into this whole issue of border security, who's going to say that the borders are secure? We've got the House and the Senate debating this issue, and it's really astonishing that in a country founded by immigrants, immigrant has somehow become a bad word. So the debate rages on, and we continue.
Just like that, it's over. We tend to our root. We count on dead. Black and white soldiers wondering like if this really means freedom. Not yet.
I got 1 job, 2 job, 3 when I need them. I got 5 roommates in this one studio, but I never really see them. And we all came America trying to get a lap dance from Lady Freedom. But now Lady Liberty is acting like Hillary Banks with a prenup. Man, I was brave, sailing on graves. Don't think I didn't notice those tombstones disguised as waves. I'm no dummy. Here's something funny. You could be an immigrant without risking your lives, or crossing these borders with thrifty supplies. All you gotta do is see the world with new eyes.
Immigrants, we get the job done.
Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come.
We get the job done.
Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come.
Immigrants, we get the job done.
It's a hard line when you're an import, baby boy, it's hard times when you ain't sent for it. Braces feed the belly of the beast with they pitchforks. Rich chores done by the people that get ignored. Ya se armó, ya se despertaron, it's a whole awakening. La alarma ya sonó hace rato, los que quieren buscan, pero nos apodan como vagos. We're the same ones hustling on every level, ten los datos. Walk a mile in our shoes, abróchense los zapatos. I've been scoping y'all dudes, y'all ain't been working like I do while y'all work ya. It hurts ya, you claim I'm stealing jobs, though Peter Piper claimed he picked them, he just underpaid Pablo. But there ain't a paper trail when you living in the shadows. We America's ghost riders, the credit's only borrowed, it's a matter of time before the checks all come. but
immigrants, we get the job done. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. We get the job done. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Immigrants, we get the job.
Yet.
It's America's Ghost Riders, the credits only borrowed. It's America's Ghost Riders, the America's Ghost Riders, the America's Ghost Riders, the credits only borrowed. America's Ghost Riders, the credits only borrowed. It's America's Ghost Riders, the credits only borrowed. It's America's Ghost Riders, the credits only borrowed. It's
immigrants, we get the job done.
Immigrants, we don't like that. Nah, they don't play. British Empire strikes back. They're beating us like 808s and hi-hats at our own game of invasion. This ain't Iraq. Who these Fugees? What do they do for me but contribute new dreams, taxes and tool swagger and food to eat? Who they flee war zones, but the problem ain't ours. Even if our bombs landed on them like the Mayflower. Buckingham Palace, a Capitol Hill. Blood of my ancestors had that all built. With an ink you print on your dollar bill. Oil you spilled. Thin red line on the flag you hoist when you kill. But still we just say, look how far I come. Hindustan, Pakistan to London, to a galaxy far from their ignorance. Cause
immigrants, we get the job done.
Por tierra o por agua, identidad falsa. Brincamos muros o flotamos en balsa. La peleamos como Sandino en Nicaragua. Somos como las plantas que crecen sin agua, sin pasaporte americano, porque la mitad de Gringolandia es terreno mexicano. Hay que ser bien hijo de puta. Nosotros les sembramos el árbol y ellos se comen la fruta. Somos los que cruzaron. Aquí vinimos a buscar el oro que nos robaron. Tenemos más trucos que la policía secreta. Metimos la casa completa en una maleta. Con un pico, una pala y un rastrillo te construimos un castillo. ¿Cómo es que dice el coro, cabrón?
Immigrants, we get the job done. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. We get the job done. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. Look how far I come. We get the job done. Look how far I come. How far I come. Immigrants, we get the job done.
Not yet.
Y va de nuevo mi Tony.
Mexicano bandido, todo el barrio prendido. Siempre ando bien juido, siempre poniendo ruido. Mexicanos al grito de guerra. Yo defiendo mi tierra. No me dejo de nadie, yo cuido a los míos, mi raza se aferra. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Me voy tendido, me voy empinando mi bote. Un poco mareado por la bebida y el borlote. Me tiene hasta la riata la gente con su mitote. Pero me despreocupo, me pelan todo el garrote. Me para la chota, ya es por mi apariencia. Que hay tantos delitos, que hay tanta demencia. Yo no cargo nada, no más mi presencia. Pinche puerco joto, atente a las consecuencias. Si no topa el boy en breve nos para en la calle. No puede salir uno conmigo porque ya hay detalles. No quiere que conteste, quiere que yo solo calle. Quiere mi dinero pero que chinga su madre. A la dica este sistema nos quieren ver abajo. Pero tumbar gente, quien les dijo que es trabajo. Puro chingar al indio, váyanse mucho al carajo. Loco no me rajo, lo bueno porque
se armó la alianza más pesada del país. Todo el mundo ya conoce las rimas de estos MCs. Pa' ponerme más feliz, unos paisas de hachís. Mis paisas en el gabacho, bien truchas con la polis. Loco en Guanajuato, con los ojos bien tumbados. De coto con el quesada, rifando por todos lados. Atento si prendo un blunt en cabina cuando grabo. Represento Nuevo León, junto a mi carnal el Davo. Cuando voy pa' Jalisco, el pasado está olvidado. Con el perro de la C, bien grifo, pedo y enfiestado. Chécate mi banderón, unido como como había soñado. Bien bajado ese balón, compa Lefty bien bajado. Puro hip hop mexa hasta que amanezca. Pásenme un mezcal y que no se apague la yesca. Ya saben que aquí andamos pilas pa' lo que se ofrezca. Si escribo estas rimas es pa' que se enorgullezca.
Verde marihuana, blanca cocaína, roja la sangre que escurre de una nueva herida. Yo salí de la ruina, nunca se me olvida. Con disciplina y respeto sigo en siempre la movida. Ando bien high, la vida es un freestyle. Disfruta lo que hay, vivo entre el bien y el mal, carnal. Crazy life todo el día, viendo live. Pinto tu barda con spray, lo que canto es real. Azules y rojas las sirenas que me persiguen. No suben pa' la virgen, salen todos cuando chifle. Mi barrio no lo pisen, que andamos todos grises. Maldito policía, no quiero que me revises. Prende la mota en canala o en hitter. Ando con mi flota y el dealer. Tenemos lo que se te ofrezca, tú nada más pide. Me dijo mi madre que de la envidia me cuide.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemo afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemo afuera.
Ya, ábranse cabrones, llegó el mexicano partiendo sin necesidad de palanca. Todos jugamos en la misma liga, yo soy titular, tú ves desde la banca. Disfruto cada cosa que me pasa, colaboro y mi carrera se levanta. El mismo cabrón que antes no tenía nada se la pasa viajando y dice que canta. Por eso me caga enfermarme de la garganta. Pero aguanta, traigo mata natural y humo de planta. 2, 3 cabrones dando lata y yo haciendo más plata. De esto la vida se trata y pa' que sepas no es barata. MC da bolos desbarata con cada escalón que sube. Yo tuve la suerte de hacerme fama en YouTube. Hay 2, 3 raperos de antaño que me bajé de su nube. Los mandé pa' su casa y de premio hasta les pagué el Uber. Si alguien me tira es porque sabe bien que domino el negocio y quiere de mi parte. No quiero darlas de grande, pero si me tiras la neta me toca humillarte. Soy capitán, llevo el estandarte. Somos muy pocos los que hacemos arte. Este flow si es de Marte, tú dale like y comparte.
México lindo y bandido, diario a Diosito le pido que me cuide a la familia si un día el cora ya no late. Estoy bendecido porque me cuidan los míos. Orgullosamente me exatamos locos de remate. Jaque mate, no hable de volar si viene gateando. La cosa por la frontera se pone violenta, no importa el rango. Toda la raza jalándole duro, si hay algo seguro es la muerte en donde ando. Sudor y la sangre en la frente, los de alzada controlando. Se roban la atención, ya saben quiénes son. Vatos locos con sazón como el de un corridón. No quiera tomarme el pelo si ando todo pelón. Levantando la bandera, viva México cabrón.
Es el perrito de la C. La bandera con un águila, Simón, mi tierra es esta. Me vale si mi piel o si mi acento les molesta. Acá jalan horas extras, nunca duermen la siesta. Están los que van pa'l jale y los que la viven de fiesta. Otros que en el pintón se tatúan de corazón. 3 colores en el pecho, morirían por su nación. Aunque su puto gobierno los puso en la situación de no terminar la escuela y terminar en la prisión. ¡Viva México, ladrones! ¿Qué hubo el expresidente? Ya saben que por mí policías chinguen a 20. Y ahí están mis 20 pa' la cagua. Aguas, que es tierra caliente de Chiapas hasta Chihuahua. Wow, 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 yipi-yo, yipi-yucas. Guanas, Montequín, Aguas, Tijuas y San Lucas. San Luis Potoyes, Mataulipas, La Puebluca. Dime si o no, loco, acá tienen lo que buscas.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemo afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemo afuera.
Puro hip hop mexa, perros, 2023.
Ey, yo, ey, yo.
Como la santa carnal.
Ey, ey, los machidones de la plaza.
Oye, y hay un deck en los scratches. Desde alzada, mi perro. No saben quién soy o sí. Oye.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
One, two, three. I think it's working. I think it's three. Yeah, I think it's working. Hey, what up, family? Hold on a second. Yeah, yeah. I got my buzz back. Man. Chapter 15. Hold on, I'm trying to fix something real quick. Give me a second. Hold on. Hold on. I should have said, there you go. Okay. So, what do we got here? Yeah, let's do it. Well, what's going on now? Who's it, fool? Give me a second, family. Okay, here we go. Alrighty then. I still don't know why it doesn't get rid of that. It's weird. Anyway, let me just fix this real quick. Shouldn't be a big deal. There it goes. All right, fam. Let me see what we got over here, man. Let me say what's up to everybody real quick. What up, V Ladder? Hey, what up, bro? I appreciate that conversation, bro. Man. That was pretty cool. I know how that feels, bro, when you get a chance to finally speak to somebody that knows what you're talking about. So I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it. All be revealed. What's up? Maracuya, bro. Good to have you here. Let's see. Yeshlin. There you go, brother. You're good. Good, man. What's up, Joe? Good to have you here. Buenos Jeremias, buenos dias, bro. What up, what up, what up, bro? What up, what up, what up? Yeah, Clinton, la news, la me. I don't know what that means. It may mean something else. All right, so check this out. All right, so it's gonna be here's let me not forget and remind you guys what the hell the point is today. Okay, we're gonna go into an old demonic dominion. Now I put Anglo-Saxon, but it applies to the gringo, and you know who that is? The northern people up here right now. Okay, so instead of saying colorism, I'm just gonna say gringos because they both had a hand into it. Actually, several nations did. So we're going to touch on that. Maybe I get a chance to cover Psalms 83 a little bit, but we're going to get into the 10 toes. We're going to get into the kingdoms, the beast, 4 beasts. Likely, maybe we'll give you guys some videos. You know how I do it, some scriptures and some history books as well. So get your pen and papers ready. We're going to start. And also, I am going to actually give you guys this video first. Because, again, we're touching different subjects, okay? So I'm not, like, necessarily doing something in particular. Sorry about those screens there. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why they show up. But anyhow, block ads. Oh, I know why. I don't have that. I don't pay for that service no more. I see what it is. Okay, anyways. All right. So, anyhow, let me show you guys something real quick. Because I think it should not be left out. And the brother that was, I got your text, and it's funny, man, because I was kind of on the same path. So I'm glad you sent me a text on that video, right? The one you see. It's going to be about an hour long. Give me a second. I'm going to play this right now. This is before. I'm going to show you guys this. This is important, okay? But the video I'm going to show you also is going to be about an hour long. It's going to touch on basically the topic that we were at hand on TikTok. Okay, I'm going to bring up a few things, and then we're going to go from there. All right. So let's see if we can get some edification out of this. Let me bring this down a little bit, and we shall begin. All right, let's go.
All right, let's talk about how the U.S. straight up jacked land from Mexico. Yeah, I said it, jacked. Back in the 1840s, the U.S. had this idea called manifest destiny. Basically, they thought it was their God-given right to take over everything west of the Mississippi. Sounds pretty arrogant, right? So, in 1846, the U.S. picked a fight with Mexico, the Mexican-American War. They said, hey, you crossed into our territory, but really they were just itching for an excuse to invade. Fast forward 2 years. Mexico loses the war. Why? The U.S. had more money, weapons, and soldiers. It wasn't even a fair fight. Then comes the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. Mexico was like, do we even have a choice? The U.S. took half of Mexico's land. Half. We're talking California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, all gone. And guess how much they paid for it? $15 million? 15? That's pennies for land that's now worth trillions. So yeah, the U.S. got what they wanted and Mexico got screwed. Big time.
And we're going to actually dabble into that. I'm going to get into that, actually, as a matter of fact. I'm glad that the brother posted that video. Let me get this real quick. Give me a second here. Give you guys a scripture. We're just getting started, family. I hope you guys are doing well today. You guys are on your holy days too. Okay, so check this out. Let's go. Isaiah 46:10. All right, let's go there real quick. Let's kind of get a little warm up. It says, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done. Again, declaring the end from the beginning. Ecclesiastes says, man, it's a repetitive thing. In the past is today is tomorrow. Declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. So from ancient times, the things that are not yet done. Keep in mind that from the beginning, it's repetitive. So this is the reason why I'm bringing this point of view, I guess you could say, or at least I don't want to say prophecy, but an understanding of what we see, because it's here now, right? And it's predominantly dealing with. Well, I mean, I'll let the class speak for itself. You know what I mean? Again, it says declaring the end from the beginning. So prophecy, or at least the scriptures, the reason why Revelation 1:3 says, blessed is he that readeth, is because if you study enough, you will start seeing patterns. You'll start seeing a repetitive thing or something to come about, right? So it should not be surprising to you. Because if it's surprising to you, then you're part of this world. I mean, you have no understanding. Not that you're not bright or dumb, just you're not looking at what has happened in the past. It's repetitive. This is not your first rodeo, so to speak, right? So now, why do I call this an old dominion, an old demonic dominion? Why do I say an old demonic dominion? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, right? Like, I make some titles and shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyways, I'll say what I want. I'll make some titles and stuff like that, right? And, maybe it doesn't make sense, but I want to make sure this makes sense to you guys. Old demonic dominion. The four beasts, the four kingdoms are repetitive. Each one has gained something from the other. But the first is just like the last, with the same ideology, the same religious concept, and the same demonic money magic. And that's the corruption, and that's what brings people with that concept as well. So let's tackle some demonic dominion, meaning we are just finding out who we are according to the Bible, so to speak, right? And a lot of other nations, now they're even saying that, well, I mean, shit, man, we're made up. The other day I went on TikTok and we had a little debate, and people could not understand exactly what we were talking about regarding disease. The brothers were asking me, what video did you have? So I think the brother earlier today reminded me of it, and I got a piece of it, so it's going to be an hour long. I'm going to show you exactly history, how it does matter. If you don't know history, you won't know that this pertained to you, or who brought what, or what the real history is. Because anybody could sit here and tell you a lie, fam. It's not that difficult. Let's start with this real quick. Let me get this link. Let me get this going real quick. And I appreciate that, brother, for showing me this, man, because I can't, you know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, this is crazy.
You know, recently we had on the show.
Nice like this, too. Huh? Okay, so let's go. So, we're going to tackle this first, and we're going to move on to other nations as well, man, because we're going to go into Psalms 83 in a sense of a prolonged
gentleman named
class.
Luis Rodriguez.
So let's go.
He's an award-winning author. He grew up old school, man, you know, kind of from the distillation of the Pachucos into the Cholos. And he mentioned a controversial topic. He said that a lot of the black swag, the uniform, as you mentioned last time in our interview, was taken from the Chicano style. And I'm talking the Ben Davis, the Pendletons.
You know, now, when you put it in that form, our gang attire at the time, it was heavily influenced by them. I will admit that. As far as like you say, the khakis, the Ben Davises, you know, the certain type shirts, and you know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, they had a large influence on that, but we had our own. We had our own, you know, influence on the gang attire too. And so it was all kind of mixed in. It was mixed in because some of the stuff that we did as far as dressing for the gang attire, they adopted it.
So, the reason I bring this up is because some people have a problem with Fat Joe right now, man. Fat Joe is a problem to some people right now, bro. Ain't no way so-called. And I don't identify with Latino or Hispanic, but ain't no way Latinos got involved in hip-hop. Not that I care. Just want to bring up some facts here real quick. Okay, so we're going to start at 224, and then we're going to end at... Thank you for bringing this up to me, brother, because someone else was looking for this too. So we're going to start at 224, and we're going to end at 330, and then we're going to move on. Okay. Again, we're tackling topics. A kind of long-winded Psalms 83 explanation, right? And then entangling with the four beasts and how it's going to relate. Trust wouldn't believe that when I mentioned Nimrod and Babylon and money magic and why the same spirit is today. Trust and believe that it's all relative. Before you go assume anything, just trust and believe this, okay?
Again, in the Bible,
so let's go.
Psalms 83 talks about several people. But again, if you believe in the Bible, if you just look at logical reasoning of how people conquer, they come and divide. And through chaos, they run the show. That's the only way. With massive information, in a chaotic environment leading to destruction, the only thing left for you is to study and figure out what the hell are you seeing, because if you don't see what I see, then I can see why it's so confusing. Let's go.
Wrong day and putting him in another class. What we're talking about here is very clear. If you look at Latin America today, in every society in Latin America is essentially a conglomeration of European settler states. The conquistadores went in there and did the same thing that the English did here and everything, right?
And I do want to add, while I'm going to this video, is that nowadays, the conquistador don't look like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed dude. No. Nowadays, when it's convenient for people like him, people like me are the conquistadors. But when it's when it's not convenient, then I'm the immigrant mixed with a Mongol. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a conquistador at the same time. Let's continue. Propaganda, black nobility propaganda. I see your asses.
When we look at the compositions of these societies, we see that at the top are light-skinned descendants of conquistadores, and at the bottom are native people and black descendants of Africans. White skin privilege is a European ideal and concept that was exported with their economic system, their religious philosophy, and it was exported and imposed on people of color. So when we talk about Latinos, let's understand what we're saying here. We're talking about Latinos who, for the most part, have African blood in them, and they have internalized racism just like everybody else. When you look at Asian Americans, many of the...
Well, I do want to say that the only reason a lot of y'all have African blood in you is because of the wrong reasons. That's why. So, with this BS, let's go.
Asians that came here initially came to work the railroads. They were treated like dogs. They were treated like dirt. But when we see a lot of Asians that come to the United States today, one of the first words they learn in their lexicon, one of the first things that they learn is the United States' major contradiction around the issue of race is white-skinned male privilege.
Hey, and again, I don't take stuff personal, but I do remember, because, you know, you're a kid, the first person that called me a beaner was a man that looked like him. Not a white guy, not a Mexican, not a so-called Chicano, not a so-called Puerto Rican. No, it was somebody like him. Again, I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what that word meant because I'm like, I don't even like beans, man. I like rice. Shit, call me a riser. Let's go.
And if we don't attack that, if we don't analyze that, if we don't begin to deal with that, then we got a problem. And I totally disagree with the mayor of Washington because I do not have a state.
He doesn't agree with what he's all about.
No, we don't agree with any religion.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, that's a King James Bible. That's a European Bible.
It's a King James Bible.
It's a European
King James
Bible.
was a black man. You didn't know that, did you? We ruled Europe all the way up to the 1700s.
Okay, well,
Cromwell was the first.
Okay.
Cromwell was the first so-called white man that sat on the throne. We ruled Europe. We sat
so then
on
what
the
happened
throne
to
in
them?
England.
They must have got their butts kicked and knocked out of there.
Yeah, because you know what? Because we sinned against the Most High. We didn't follow His law. That's why we was brought down. It wasn't because of your strength, because your nation is weak. You're a weak, mindless people.
Okay, now
you didn't bring us down. God brought us down.
I'm coming to my question.
Many African Americans.
Here's one of the parts here about this stupid ass dude here, right here. All of you guys, Mike TV, Colomiados, Top Pussy and shit. What's the other guy's name? Whatever. I don't know. Some other guy. All of this is part of that. And look at what they say now, family. Okay? Look at what he promotes. Supposedly, this guy's a native. And look what he pushes through his channel. Now, don't forget this heathen face here, okay? Continue. And you tell me if this makes any sense to you.
You are the Native Americans. You're not even African Americans. You're Native American.
Okay, now
you didn't bring us down. God brought us down.
I'm coming to my question.
Many African Americans. You are the Native Americans. You are the Native Americans. You're not even African Americans.
You're not even African Americans. You're Native Americans. But let's look at continue. Now, what does she say?
Native Americans. You're the ones that they brought blankets with, was it smallpox or whatever diseases, and wiped out entire communities because they said they came in peace, but they actually came in war.
So she says that some people from Europe brought smallpox to them. That because, you know what I mean? I'm good using the logic, and I'm not even a native no more. I'm not even Mexican, all right? I'm an African now. But she says something interesting too. So you guys that are of Africa look like them somehow, some way, even though historically speaking, we don't find none of this smallpox here in America applied to black people. Somehow, some way this happened to you. In the same breath, this lady says that you're African, but you're from this land? Okay.
And they are still warring us right until this day. So there are those beloveds of you who really don't feel any connection to Mama Africa.
Okay, so if you are not African and you are of the Americas, why would she say Mama Africa? And
this is just, a confirmation, a reassurance that America belongs to you. Spiritual.
That's one video. So I have this other one from this dude that was putting up these classes. I think it was called Thoughts Camera Action or some shit. And he was banging on his own people. I think they sued the guy and made sure to take off as many videos as he's had done, because he had done these, and I caught a lot of them. And I did some of them. I copied some of his videos, and I use it on here. But check this out. This is what this girl says. Same person. So this is an Islam-funded individual, all right? She is funded by black nobility. I need you to understand what that means. Again, it all is connecting.
Milk, beloveds. I've said too much without saying enough, beloveds. But may those who have ears hear. The Freemasons, there's also the female side, which a lot of people don't talk about, the Eastern Star.
So now she gets into this whole Freemasonry. The Presidential Commission on Devil Worship in Kenya by President Moi and led by Archbishop Nicodemus Kerima adversely mentioned Freemasons as Satan worshippers in Kenya, including Theosophy Society. All right. So the article that she's talking about is this here. Give me a second. This is the article. Actually, not she. He actually posted that next to that heathen. So official worship. All right. She's talking about Freemasonry. Now she's like, oh, but you know what I mean? Freemasonry. There's also the Eastern Star. Well, in case you guys don't understand, in case a lot of black folks here in America are very familiar with Freemasonry, Prince Hall, lilies, white lilies, Eastern Star. Tell me I'm lying.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Damn well know that a lot of you have been involved with a lot of this on the outskirts. As a matter of fact, you even said it yourselves. A lot of you people over there would say that the reasons why you had cookouts with families is because your times were so tough, but they were part of that Prince Hall Freemasonry White Lily organization. That's why when you make your movies, supposedly families from South Carolina go down south to Florida or Georgia, and they're like cookouts, like, oh, they're all related. No. It was through Eastern Star, Freemasonry, Prince Hall, Unity, Black Boule, all of those Kappa Gamma, Greek sororities, you know what I'm saying? Black history colleges. That's what it is. Okay, so here we see that this is something that is propagandized, but again, they are going to bring lies with truth, lies with truth, lies with truth. Now, I do want to say this, man, and I'm going to bring this out. This dude, let me tell you something. And if you're listening, bro, I hope you're listening. Because I don't ever want you to represent me, man. You don't ever speak for me. That's for sure. Okay? At all. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this dumbass kid. But you are embarrassing yourself going around talking to these people.
I'm just talking about
teaching this stupid ass farted crap. Giving them food to chew on. Not even like real shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like processed information, processed food, basically. So here we got dirty water. I hope you're listening, dumbass. And look at his stupidity. Listen to this kid. And then we're going to look at the post of another El Estúpido. And then we're going to see what the hell is this all about. Oh, man. What a waste of time, bro. Let's go.
Brother David, I'm just talking about you, the Sereno. How did your family? Right, because you're a Hebrew. Everybody else say that. Where did your family come from? What's your family history?
Yeah, about on the 1500s, the early 1500s.
So you got to America in the 1500s?
Yeah, well, they because the Vatican converted us into Christianity.
I'm only talking about you.
Yes.
So your ancestor, and you said this is
that includes us as a group in general.
Okay, now was this your mother's side or dad's side?
My dad.
Okay, your dad. So your dad a European. Was he white?
No.
What was he?
He was Hispanic.
So he was part of the Hispanics that were in Europe.
Yeah. Or
okay.
The family, most of the family, the pueblo. If you go to Mexico and you
listen, bro, I want you to relay blows are not in Europe, or unless you about to tell me something I never heard before. or the Pueblo Indians in Europe, brother?
I'm talking about the pueblos in Mexico.
Okay, cool. Now hold on. Let's get to Mexico first. Now we're in Europe, which dad's side, which is a Hispanic Spaniard. Sephardic, Hispanic Sephardic. Cool. Now we get here, and his family gets here in the 1500s. Where do they land?
They go to the mountains in Mexico.
So he went straight to the mountains.
Yeah.
What mountains?
Where the pueblos in America are located throughout Mexico. And
so you have Pueblo, but
Pueblo means like a town.
Right. So
like,
okay.
Yeah, it means like a town. Where they make.
Hey, dirty water. Just shut your ass up, man. Sit down, bro. Don't call nobody. Matter of fact, you put a fucking plug in your mouth and stop talking. Literally, just stop talking. You're making a fool of yourself. But it's an embarrassment to our gente that you have somebody like that going around saying, "Oh, we." Don't do we me. This is you, bro. You're the one that wants to be a Sephardic. I gotta read that scripture, man. That's a fantastic one, bro. That's a fire right there. I mean, literally, bro. You took that right or not? Wow, that's amazing, bro. Job 12:16. It says, "With him is strength and wisdom. Then the deceived and the deceiver are his." So the Most High has control, and He knows what's going on, man. But it's interesting that the deceiver and the deceived, they have a purpose, and it's our job to discern the difference. And again, if the young man would just have listened, I wouldn't have been so rough with him at that time. You know what I mean? But it's like, bro, it's an embarrassment when you want to represent our people, and specifically in this particular type of topic, or at least time frame. Right, this century of ours, where actual spiritual repentance matters. Don't you think that you should be more kind to your own people instead of you yourself being so caught up in your own so-called belief instead of studying, instead of being deceived by the deceiver, because the Most High has just strength over foolishness, and it goes to the 4 seeds that Mark 4 talks about, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. It really bothered me because they spoke to him the rest of the video in a condescending manner. Condescending, man. Straight up condescending. You know what I'm saying? And but again, you know what? Whatever, bro. It is what it is, man. If you guys get offended by that shit, well, too bad. You know what I mean? Then just be like Water himself. It says here, that squeaky little rat, the Waters need to give it up. I told him that that told him that already, and he keeps going. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? I guess there's some type of, hey, listen, man, there's a purpose. Every tree grows, but not every tree gives fruit. Nor does every tree give good fruit. Damn the water, yeah. But again, not every tree gives good fruit, or not every tree gives fruit. Sometimes it is for some of us are brought to understanding for destruction. Some of us are brought to understanding for forgiveness and salvation. Some of us are brought to understanding. So then we could be an example. I don't want to be an example. Let's go. I'm going to show you some shit about them pretty soon. Pendejo. It's just, man. Hold on a second. Let me look for this. Where are you at? All right, so let's tackle this. So we got well, he calls me El Estúpido, right? It's all good. Come on, bro, stop. All right, so he goes, David Benjamin. He says, El Estúpido. So he calls me one, right? Obviously, Africans didn't bring it over exclusively. It's a contagion, meaning it's contagious, okay? They caught it from their captors, the Spanish, and they didn't bring it over exclusively. I don't know how you Hollywood Indians don't get flagged for hate speech is beyond me. Okay, first of all, David Benjamin Button, this isn't hate speech when I read shit. When I bring out material and books and I read. That's why YouTube cannot block me, because I don't say shit that is not real. Now, if it's offensive to you, it's because that's what you guys are about. You see, even in your own stupidity, because you're projecting when you say it's a stupido, because that's the first thing that comes to your mind, is probably because that's how you feel about yourself. It says, obviously, Africans, which you're saying you're not. So wouldn't this be a moment to say, well, I'm not African? That's why they brought it. But no. You defend them, because you know that's you. And it says that, well, you know, exclusively, it doesn't pertain to them because they were so clean. They had such a civilized world. You know what I'm saying? Like no disease ever happened to Africans. So they caught it. And Spanish people, well, we're going to find out that Spanish people didn't look like me. Actually, Spanish people looked either like David, who's probably white, right? Or the other guy. What's the other guy? The what's his name? The Imhotep. The dude is a white-looking dude with the little bit of African features, and he forgets that shit, and he tells us that we're foreigners, even though he literally don't look like them. So, anyways, let's continue. So he says, us Spaniards, we're supposedly us Spaniards, and that we or they or we gave it to them, and that's why this whole Hollywood shit. So he's upset, like, I can't believe the hate speech. Hate speech, hate. Okay, sounds good, bro. Sounds good. If it's hate speech, then let them block me, because I don't do that. But what I do is promote truth.
All these black
I don't lie, and I don't run from what I share. I don't go around painting pictures, posting and clipping like your Colomiados king, David, because this is who you guys worship. You are a worshiper of Colomiados. He's brought all this stuff to you. Matter of fact, the video I just showed earlier with that dirty water kid, the stupid ass going on and making a fool of himself, you support that channel. And you know what he says? Oh, where's Curimeo at? They support Curimeo or Colomiados or whatever it is that you do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, you talk about somebody saying hate speech. I bring facts. You bring... Anyways, let's just see what you bring.
You know, we exaggerate how many black people ran away to the North Star. Even John Hope Franklin, at most, counted 50,000. And that includes people who would just run down to the swamp, hide out for the night, and then come back. You know, it was hard to run away to the north. There were not millions of black people on the Underground Railroad. We tend to think of the Underground Railroad like Penn Station, a Grand Central Station. It wasn't like that. It was incredibly difficult to escape from slavery. And, as you know, Mr. Black, many of the free Negroes stayed in the South. Do you know in the 1860 census, there were 440,000 about free Negroes, I mentioned that earlier. More than half lived in the states that were the Confederacy and the border states where slavery was free.
They were free.
And they stayed there, ladies and gentlemen, unmolested, including my family in eastern West Virginia. They stayed there because that's where they had their family and that's where they had their property. Remember, their property was, they had to be given property in Virginia and many of these other southern states. What are they going to do? Go to New York? Live in Harlem? Hang out and listen to jazz with Dizzy, Charlie Parker? They stayed where they were raised. And many of them, this is the worst, the dirtiest secret in African American history, is that a surprisingly high percentage of the free Negroes in the South owned slaves themselves.
Tackled this before, that's not the point. Let's go.
And some of them owned, we explain away by saying, oh, but they only own their mother, or they only own, they own their mother, they own their sister, they own their wife, and they own some other workers too. A surprisingly high number owned workers who they did not liberate throughout the South. There were enough black free Negroes who supported the Confederacy that they voluntarily formed a regiment in the state of North Carolina to fight for the Confederacy. And black Confederate troops are featured on the cover of Harper's Weekly in 1863. Frederick Douglass used this as an argument to make Lincoln allow black men to fight. Wow. Because, remember, Lincoln didn't want to do it. Lincoln made a famous statement in 1862. He said, I suppose we could arm them, but if we did, their arms would end up in the hands of the Confederates within a week. Because he thought that they were incompetent, not smart enough to win. And eventually, he said, the North was losing the war, Frederick Douglass was agitating, and this book by Casemore persuaded him to change his mind and incrementally. So again, it's not only the myth makers who created They idealize Lincoln. We have our own myth makers in the African American historical establishment. All the Egyptians looked like Michael Jordan. All our people were black gods and kings. You know, we were not complicitous in the slave trade. There wouldn't be a slave trade. Africans sold other Africans to white people. That was the slave trade. That's the first thing we
attention to what he's about to say, because when he's mentioning that certain people sold certain people, there is also I could say, what's the right word to say it? A logistical system that needed to be implemented in order for these Africans to bring Africans from Africa. You know why? Because in the interior parts of Africa, he's going to explain it, and we're going to prove it. David, I got an answer for you. I hope you're listening. You want sources? I'm going to give you the horse's mouth.
We honestly have to admit that remember the story of Livingston, Dr. Livingston. Sure. The reason that was so important is that almost no white men had penetrated the interior of Africa. What was there? No roads, snakes, mosquitoes. The reason that was so important is that almost no white men had penetrated the interior of Africa. What was there? No roads, snakes, mosquitoes, death, malaria, right? The white people were along the coast. It was black kingdoms, like Queen Njinga's kingdom in Angola. What's now Angola? Ghana, Dahomey. They grew rich from the slave trade, selling other Africans. They would go and wage wars just to sell other black people to white people. This is something we've been so ashamed about, we pretend that it's not true. It is the nasty, dirty secret of African American history. We are just as corrupt and despicable as any other people. And if we have the right to oppress, we will oppress just as corrupt and despicable of African American history. We are just as corrupt American history. We are just as corrupt and American history. We are just as corrupt and despicable as any other people. And if we have the right to oppress, we will oppress just like the white man.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
You would. Because I've seen it. Let's continue.
That is human nature. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And the only way to overcome that is to be honest about it. Admit the truth, and then all try to do better. As my main man, guy I admire so much, Cornel West, says, we're all recovering racists. We're all recovering racists.
All the white people clap. Oh, you relieved some stress. Okay, so let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. All right, so Robert, or what's your name again? David, whatever your name is, all right? You want sources? Straight out of the horse's mouth, I'm going to give you the sources, all right? So let's begin right here, because you guys love all wobbles. Every single wobble that you know of loves this book right here. Hold on. Let me show you something. Since you want sources, Dave, let me see. What's your name? What's your name again? El Estúpido. I know he called me El Estúpido. So David Benjamin Button wants sources because he doesn't believe that Africans could have brought contaminants to this America over here. It had to be the Spaniards because they're so dirty. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you part of it. You're right. Africans didn't necessarily bring all the diseases. You're right. The Spaniards did give them something called pox, but it wasn't what you think. So I'll give you that one, David, but I'm still proving facts. I'm going to give you from your own man who quoted this man that I'm about to quote. He quoted him. This is a book from Ivan Sertima, 1970. He quotes a gentleman in here. And he says here, as regards to, and by the way, you guys love this guy, but at the same time, you ignore the shit that he says. I don't understand. You're saying you're from America, but then you're Africans. Oh, that's right. You were all over the world. Anyways, so here he says, Edward Scobie, which you guys also push as well. So Ivan Sertima references Edward Scobie, who all wobbles love to use. And your sources that you guys run to love to, quotes a guy named Leo Africanus, A Geographical History of Africa. And again, I don't want to read this because you guys can read it. For all Negroes are blackamoors, are descendants of Kushans. We all know that shit. We all know that. We can always come back to it. But again, Leo Africanus. So Ivan Sertima Okay? Ivan Sertima, this man here, the guy they love, okay, quotes Leo Africanus. Sounds good. Well, then let's go to Leo Africanus. This is from the same book. The same book, okay? The same book, and I have it right here. I have it right here. It's reprinted for me. A Geographical History of Africa. I brought this book out several times, but now, since you want sources, I'm gonna give you sources. Here it says what kind of diseases the Africans are subject to. Now, Leo Africanus is an African, by the way, and he says it himself in this book. So let's talk about what type of diseases Africa was dealing with. All right, so it says here, if any of the, this on page 38, by the way, I think chapter 2, page 38. So it goes by chapters, and then it goes into 1, 2, 3, 4. If any of the Barbary be infected by the disease commonly called French pox. David's gonna say, you see, I was right. The Spaniards gave us the diseases. You know what I mean? That's what he says, right? That's what he says. That's what he says. Hey, bro, stop. Let me try to do something real quick. I am going to see if maybe, just maybe, I can switch screens because I think that may be the slowdown, okay? I did a test earlier today, and it wasn't doing that. So I think it may be the screen, okay? So bear with me here real quick. Give me a second here. Let me... because I'm noticing the feed is slow on this end, and I know that can be annoying. It annoys me, so I get it. You know what I mean? I think this should work. Hopefully, if not, you know what I mean. It is what it is, man. I'm working with what I got, fam. I'm working with what I got. Other than that, let's see if we can get this fixed. All right, let's see. All right. Oh, come on, dude, for real? All right, that's what he says. But, wait a minute, let's continue reading it, and then we'll come back to it. It says here that this disease, French pox, they die thereof for the most part and are seldom cured. This disease beginneth with a kind of anguish and swelling, and at length break out into sores over the mountains of Atlas and throughout the Numidia and Libya. So now, two things I want to ask, and we'll move on. Atlas. Why is that word used there? It's still in Africa. Let's continue. It says, so in Nubia and Libya, they scarcely know this disease, in so much that oftentimes the parties infected traveleth forthwith into Nubia and the lands of the Negroes, or the land of the Negroes, in which places the air is so temperate, blah, blah, blah. Not so much as the name of this malady ever known unto Africans before the Ferdinand, King of Castile. Okay. Hold on. There you go. This is the second page. Castile. So when did these guys start getting this disease called French pox? Spelled all Jews out of Spain. After return of which Jews into Africa, certain unhappy and lewd people lay with their wives, and to the length that disease spread from one to another over the whole region, in so much that scarce any one's family was free from the same. Howbeit they were most certainly persuaded of that the same disease came first from Spain. Wherefore they, for the want of better name, called it the Spanish pox. Notwithstanding, at Tunis, all over Italy, it is called the French disease. It is also called likewise in Egypt and Syria. For there is used a common proverb of cursing. The French pox take you. Among the barbarians, the disease called the Latin hermia is not common. But in Egypt, the people are much troubled therewith. For some of the Egyptians have their cods oftentimes so swollen, it is incredible to report. And this is, by the way, their cods means their penis, which infirmity is thought to be so common among them, because they so much eat as gum and salt, whatever. Now, it says here that this telling sickness likewise possesses the women of Barbary in the land of the Negroes who, excuse it, lay that they are with a spirit of the Barbary. The plague is rise every 10th, 15th, and 20th year, whereby great numbers of people are consumed, for they have no cure for them, for the same, but only to rub the plague with certain ointments made of Armenian earth. So like dirt and type. In Nubia, I guess, they are infected with the plague scarce once in 100 years. And in the land of the Negroes, they know not the name of the disease because they never have been subject thereunto. True. So yeah. But you are forgetting something. You are forgetting something. What was French pox? I ask. It was what? It was what? So I don't know who laid with who first, but both of y'all were laying with each other. Some men were sleeping with somebody's women. So we don't know if the Jews or the people there, you know what I mean? The Sephardic Jews, by the way. I mean, mind you, we don't know if the men were sleeping with the African women there, or if they were just, in relationship with their women, and then the African dudes which went in there and said, whoop, let me slip right in there. But it's syphilis, not smallpox. So I give you this source because it's important to differentiate the differences of diseases. So now we know that there was such a thing as French pox, which was taken by the Europeans into Africa. Okay. Ivan Sertima, African, Leo Africanus says it. So now let's go to another source, which is now going to identify us exactly who was dealing with smallpox first. I bring you this book here. It's not made up. A Voyage to the River Sierra Leone on the coast of Africa. Remember how the guy was saying that they stay on the coast because, all the diseases and shit inside the center of Africa, they just wouldn't go in there. So it says here, the voyages of the coast of Africa, containing an account of the trade and productions of the country, and the civil and religious customs and manners of the people. A series of letters to the friends of England, John Matthews, blah, 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 1791. All right. Now, in here, if we look deep into this book, you're going to find yourself something very interesting. It says here that the white traders, a capital white trader, this is on page 135, a capital white trader who had resided nearly 30 years upon the coast, who is otherwise a man of sense, told me very seriously he once thought, as he supposed I did, but that he had seen so many surprising instances of their art he could no longer doubt. In the accounts of the most uncivilized countries that we read of, we find the office of physicians is generally annexed to that of priests and conjurers. So again, keep in mind that they don't have doctors and shit, you know what I mean? And again, I want to let you know that in America, we had over 2,600 medicinal recipes made out of herbs. And we still have them in our culture, which is why I don't understand why Wabas don't know this shit. But anyhow, by the way, who cured that black dude? Raza did. And now you don't even want to say that. Anyway, let's continue. But here is carried by an old woman. Oh, by old women, I'm sorry. And the cures they perform are truly astonishing, particularly in the external wounds by the use of simples, which were woods and fields afford in abundance. Check this out. Here we go. The diseases they are most subject to. Okay, we're going to go and cover this in line. The diseases they are more subject to are intermittent fevers and hydrocele. The latter is supposed to be caused by the too frequent use of palm wine and excess of venereal.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Okay, so you're like, well, venereal. What the hell does that mean? Okay. Venereal means sexual indulgence.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Okay, so apparently this is quite often, quite common, and it's still, I don't know, prevalent? I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't the same people. I don't know. You guys say you're not. I don't know. Then it says here, the venereal disease is frequent, but never attended with those dreadful symptoms, which too often accompany it in Europe. Okay? So like the French pox type of deal shit. It is always easily cured. Neither can they be convinced that it proceeds from impure coition, I guess. Check this out. It's talking about the diseases that are most subject to, right? The smallpox is endemial. So, you know, the guy, what's his name? Benjamin Button. He's like, you know, he wants to be Mr. Brainiac, right? Like, it's a contagion, meaning it's contagious, and they cut it from the Cathars and Spaniards. That's not what it says. The smallpox is endemial. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Because obviously, you know, I don't know any better, man. I'm just a, you know, like just a dumb Mongolian. I guess that's what you guys say, right? Endemial means, come on, get to it. Oh, endemic. Meaning what? Belongs to or native to a particular people of a country. Woo! Characteristics of a prevalent in a particular field, area, or environment.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Hold on a second.
That's right.
So endemic basically means that an organism is restricted to a locality or region. So we know that French pox was brought to you by the French, the Spaniards, the Europeans. Yeah, I'll give you that. The Europeans brought French pox to the Africans. But smallpox, it's an endemial disease, but it's not so frequent on the seacoast as the interior country.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Which is why the gentleman earlier said that there was a lot of diseases in the center. So Africans had to logistically figure out, okay, how do we get these people from inside out to these guys? Or the Europeans, not always white, by the way. How are we going to get those people? We're not going to go in there and die of disease. No. So let's continue reading. Because apparently they want some suffice information. I shall conclude with my best wishes for your health and happiness. Oof, that's going to hurt. Now, if you continue reading this book, right, it even brings up the fact that slavery was something that they really, really practiced and enjoyed. So much so that he would even put their children up for debt. Like if you go and pawn some shit at a pawn shop. This is really what's going on in here. So we're seeing that Leo is understood that those certain diseases that we were the one he talked about. Now here we see a book that says, well, the smallpox was inland of Africa. Listen, in the proportion as the West Indies were cultivated, the demand of slaves increased as they were found to answer for what purpose much better than Europeans, and were also procured as much easier experience. The English and French were the first who began to cultivate the Windwall Islands, which had been only visited by the Spaniards. Their skirts discovered. Okay, so it says here that it was between Portugal and African trade. So it wasn't like, you know, what we were told that they went there and out of surprises and took people. No. They were all involved. And the only way that these people were able to bring people from inside of Africa was through their own, because they knew they would die from diseases. Hence, smallpox. Page 141. It may be presumed that the seacoast alone at first furnished the slaves which were sold to the Europeans, but that the constant and increasing demand, which has unremittingly continued for the first time of their being brought to America, soon obliged the natives to have recourse to back countries. And many of them are now brought from a very great distance, from inland. The modes of dealing and procuring slaves is the most places extremely different. But as I cannot pretend to describe them all, I shall confine myself to a description of the method of trade of these parts only. So he's talking about what they're, considering, right? And how they're trading, all right? And what they trade, okay? I want to point something out, and then we'll move on from this book. I don't want to lose my topic here. Ribion, okay. Information, merchants, witchcraft. I think it's okay. Here goes. Let's see. There are in our purchase in the country were European goods and salt, which is okay. They're talking about that. They will part with their. Okay, here goes. Which is an article. See, I'm right here. Okay, I'm right here. Which is an article so highly valued and so eagerly sought after by the natives that they will part with their wives and children and everything dear to them to obtain it when they have not slaves to dispose of it. Damn, they're willing to sell their children and their kids to get European goods. It is always makes part of the merchandise of the purchase of slaves in the interior country. It makes part of. So the present custom and ancient tradition of the country, handed down from father to son and from generation to generation, both teach us to believe that the practice of making, buying, and selling slaves was in use in Africa long before our knowledge of it. Death or slavery were and still are the punishment of almost every offense. Check this out. And every prisoner taken in battle was either put to death or kept as a slave. This was going for black and white. The fate of prisoners was also a great measure determined by the season of the year and the occasion they had for the service. If they were taken after the harvest was over, they were seldom spared. But those who were captured before the commencement of the rice season experienced a different fate, as they were reserved to cultivate the rice ground and sold after the harvest to those tribes bordering on the sea, who had no other means of acquiring slaves than by purchase. Or you see this? The only way that the Europeans bought the people from these islands were by these people on these islands going in there and buying them themselves. This was an ancient custom of the country, and the modern practice is nearly familiar. I seldom dispose of in the new slaves till the rice is on the ground or until it is cut. Hence, though the Europeans, by the eagerness with their push, this trade may be censorable so far. So he's talking about abolishing, okay? Let's get into this here real quick. Oh, sorry. We mentioned here, during the late war in which England was engaged with France, when the ships did not visit the coast as usual, there were no goods to purchase the slaves which were brought down. The black merchants suffered many of them to perish for want of food. Pay attention. And said they should not come down again till the ships arrived. When questioned what the inland people would do with their slaves, right? The inland people, they replied, cut their throats, as they used to do before white men came to their country. And I am informed, however, shocking to relate that this was during the period the case with great numbers. To the above account that it may be necessary to add a short description of the present state of slavery in Africa. So now here, Wabos, make this make sense. Culomeo, where you at? It mentions Mandingos in Africa. Mandingos in Africa and Mandingos in America? How's it so if you're not African? But here in this book, you clearly see a history of Sierra Leone. My main point was smallpox and the travelings of it. And how did it get here? How did we get it? If it was all the way inland? Well, because they had to bring their own people to the coast to be sold and brought here. And again, David, it's an endemic disease. An endemic disease, meaning that it's restricted, particularly to a locality or region. So before you go and say dumb shit like this and stop projecting, because you are the stupid ass in this moment here. Obviously, Africans did bring the contagion, meaning that it's because it's endemic. And no Spaniard gave them the smallpox. They did bring the French pox, which we suffered from it too. By them and you. And they didn't bring or exclusively. Now, again, this isn't hate speech because I am reading a book.
You know what? I want to touch on this real quick because it comes to show you. It comes to show you. Because in reality, Benjamin Button, what he's technically saying to us is that we brought this disease, fam. That's what he's saying. That we brought this disease. Okay? Because they label us as Spaniards. Or whatever, Mongolians, whoever. They say that they brought us here. So let's plead very, very, very clear as to what they're saying. Even though it's our gente, our people, or our generation, our bloodline that has actually experienced this shit, the audacity, the nerve, right? The nerve. How you Hollywood Indians don't get flagged for hate speech is beyond me. You see, and Hollywood Indians is not fucking hate speech? Meaning the erasure of a nation of people is not hate speech? Because you're saying we shouldn't even be here, right? Let's continue. We're almost done. We're almost done in this.
Now, again, this isn't hate speech because I am reading a book, which is a book that you can find and usually available to purchase. Now, it's up to you to feel emotional about it, but these are facts. And I know some people don't like me bringing out some shit like this, but these are facts. And if it burns your spirit, oh well. Because you want to know something? We've dealt with this shit for a long time. And for a long time, we were told something that was not true. We were told, oh, no, it was certain people. It was certain people. Propaganda. Certain people did it. Certain people did it. You know what I mean? This is a book from Cartas y Memorias. It's in Spanish, between 1511 and 1539. Let's tackle this real quick. I'm going to go in English and Spanish, and I'm going to start bringing up the actual, the endemic spreader. Okay? Here we see, and this is page 14. Let me go magnify it. Let's go tackle it real quick. It says here. Yeah, que aguanten la vara, bro. Straight up. Que aguanten la vara, bro. They want to bring, hey, listen. If you wobbles didn't mess with us, man, you probably would not have heard of me at all. I more likely guarantee you. But when you went and said that you are us, that set me off. Anyways, let's read. It says here, los gobernadores Jerónimos y el licenciado Suazo alcanzaron a congregar algunas comunidades indias, pero lejos de ayudar a evitar el despoblamiento de nativos, la formación de pueblos ayudó en 1518 a propagar por las islas una de las más terribles epidemias de viruela y otras enfermedades del viejo mundo. Basically, in a nutshell, that these men here were talking about the horrible epidemics. All right? Esta epidemia tal vez llegó a Yucatán. So it's saying maybe it arrived in Yucatán first. Con la expedición de Juan de Grijalva en 1518. Y es la misma que trajo a México el famoso esclavo negro.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
La expedición de Pampilo de Narváez en 1520. Remember, Narváez was the one that fed our gente the dogs. And he had with him, matter of fact, not him, Garrido brought with him 600 African slaves. Let's continue. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find just this word, virela. If not, we're going to move on. How do you spell it? Shit, I forgot. Valiosos, negro, clavo. Espérame. What the hell are you? Give me a second. Shit, man. I just lost myself. Famoso, melodías. Sí, pero ayudar es porque es un activo, la información puede por ahora es a través de viruela, güey. Viruela. Ponte las pilas. Anyways, just one. All right, cool. Sounds good. Let's move on. Again, this is from a book. I've shared it with you. I'm just going to tackle this real quick. It's from a book here. Check this out. Smallpox shows up 4 times in this book, and this is from, let me remind you, Hernan Cortez, okay? Conquest of Mexico. Hernan Cortez, Conquest of Mexico. The history of the conquest of Mexico and the history of Peru. Let me do the line real quick. Okay, fine. You don't find it that way. Matter of fact, let me do it this way. I have it on my book, or I'm going to have to change it. Hold on a second. Ay, pinche diablo, güey. It always does this shit. You know that? It always does it. Honestly. This is funny. It always does it at this time. Let me get it real quick. Which one is it? History or Conquest? Give me a second. Click your Conquest. This is 01. There it goes right here. Okay. So this is History of Conquest. Let me go to the main pages. Okay. So we're going to go to page 399 first. Damn, there's a lot of pages. Page 399. They all talked about who brought it. Okay. It's not a secret. It says here the visit is on page 399 from the same book. This is when they showed up. The visit of Narvaez left melancholy traces among the natives. That made it long remembered. A Negro, which now we know that it came from the inter parts of Africa, in his suit brought with him smallpox. Okay? The disease spread rapidly in that quarter of the country, and great numbers of Indians, an Indian population, soon fell victims to it. I've never heard of black people dying of smallpox here. Herrera, History General, blah, blah, blah. Se perdió la mejor y el más noble ciudades de todo el nuevamente descubiertos del mundo. Y ella perdida se perdió toda la que estaba ganando. Oh, no, this doesn't matter. So here we see one example. Let's go to the next one. 482. What? 482. Okay, sounds good. I'll go to 482. There you go. Perfect. Page 482. Oh, here it goes. On page 482, it says, it was with no little regret that the general learned at this time that the death of his good friend Meshiacha, the old lord of Tlaxcala, who had stood by him to steadily in the hour of adversity. He had fallen a victim to the terrible epidemic, the smallpox. And we read from the book Sierra Leone that's where it came from. That's no lie. Europeans didn't bring smallpox. Europeans brought French pox, syphilis. Africans brought smallpox.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Whether you like it or not, those are the facts, and that's history. Whether you like it or not, you cannot erase history. This is history. You're going against a white man saying like, oh no, they want to get rid of like the 1619 supposedly history, black history. So why is this supposed to be hate speech, David? You're always telling the white man not to be telling you what you shouldn't teach. How come this is hate speech? It was imported into the country, it is said, by a Negro slave in the fleet of Narvaez. Confirms it again. You call this hate speech? Why is it all of a sudden hate speech? It wasn't hate speech when you were saying that the Wedos brought it. It wasn't hate speech when you were saying that they're Neanderthals. That wasn't hate speech. No. It isn't hate speech when you call us Mongols. That's not hate speech. Right, David? That's not hate speech, is it? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of wondering, like, what is hate speech and what is not hate speech? To what level? What is acceptable? It's okay for you to misquote who I am and not call that racist because you assume I look a certain way? Isn't that racist? Facts are racist, right? Now, man, in my channel, facts tell, stories sell. I don't sell stories. I don't go around asking people for feria, even though I should and I probably could. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But the point being is, I don't do that shit, man. Where you at? Where you at? Give me a second, family. Too many. Wait, it's not the same book? Okay, hold on. Maybe I'll upload it this way. Give me a second. Okay.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't know why it's doing that. I just don't understand. I did everything possible to make sure that the stream is good. Here, I'm gonna try to do this. Maybe it'll help. Give me a second. Let me do this real quick. Maybe I need to do a little new. Here, let me isolate it. Maybe if I isolate it, it'll be different. I'm gonna isolate it a little bit. See what this sounds like. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Is this not it? Let me see. Hold on. Oh, okay. I think it's not it. My bad. This is the other one. Give me a second. Geo history? Where the hell are you, dude? Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. I still find this so funny, man. Like when I'm doing this is when it gives me the most problems. Right when I'm doing this shit. It's so striking to me. You know, my phone starts acting fucking funny, man. This is nuts. Give me a second, fam. All right, let me see if I can get this. Give me a second. Let me see if I can download it real quick because I'm not gonna let this shit get in the way. Give me a second. Can you see if this is it? Damn, it's fucking hot in here. I have to talk to this dude or else, bro. Can't do this shit. Hold on. I think this is the one. 58. Give me a second. If this is it, I'm gonna go real quick with it. 1800. SQL 1560. Yep, that's it. Page 207. Okay. Or 206. All right, here we go. It's 206. All right. Same book. I mean, not same book, different book. Let's read this part. Because again, you wanted to know. You wanted to know who brought it, David. You asked me the question, or you don't even ask, you just make a statement. And you assume, because it hurts your feelings. But calling me a Mongol, a conquistador, that's not racist. Even though I'm not any of those people. And even though the word Mongol itself is a racist fucking term. But that doesn't bother to you, right? That doesn't matter to you guys. Narvaez brought with him a Negro who was in the smallpox. An unfortunate importation for that country. For the disease spread with inconceivable rapidity, and the Indians died by thousands for not knowing the nature of it. Hold on a second. I'm in the wrong site. My bad. I'm over here reading it to you. Let me read it again. All right. So here, let me see if you guys can see it. First of all, make sure. Yeah. All right. You guys can see it, right? Still, okay, good. So here we see Narvaez brought with him a Negro who was in the smallpox, an unfortunate importation to that country, for the disease spread with inconceivable rapidity. And the Indians, who also suffered of French pox, but was brought by both the Europeans and the Africans, right? But died by thousands for not knowing the nature of it. They brought it to the fatal issue by throwing themselves into cold water in the heat of the disorder. Thus, black was the arrival of Narvaez.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
Is that racist, David? And blacker still the death of such multitudes of unfortunate souls.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
Is that racist, David? Which were sent into the other world without having an opportunity of being admitted to the bosom of our holy church. How insulting. How insulting. Page 236, let's just go to it real quick. I think it's just mentioning it. It's not a big deal. It's in the bottom. At this period, another prince of royal blood was elected to the throne of Mexico. For the former, who had expelled us from the city, was dead of smallpox. Again, smallpox. Now let's go to some books I have here. This is from, let's see. Where you at? This is from, hold on a second. 41. Yeah, this is from the 7 myths of the Spanish conquest. It's when he's talking about the Africans helping conquer. Okay? It's a good book. 140, page 140. It says on the bottom, for the 10 millennia, the Americas had been isolated from the rest of the world. The greater number of the people in the old world and the greater variety of domesticated animals from which such disease as smallpox, measles, and flu originated. You see this? The old world. It didn't say Europe. It said the old world. Europe, East, and also Africa. It says meant that Europeans and Africans arrived in the old world with a deadly array of germs. Oh my God. These germs still killed old world peoples, but they had developed rapidly high levels of immunity compared to Native Americans, who died rapidly in a staggering high number. Right? Page 41 to 141. After half of Columbus' first voyage, the Native American population fell as much as 90%. It says here that smallpox seemed to be the culprit. Spanish and their Nahua allies moved through, blah, blah, blah. You guys can read it if you want. Disease moved through Americas faster than germ-carrying European and Africans could.
Bruh.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
It was brought to Mexico by Narvaez expedition in 1519, spread by the Spaniards and African, led by Cortez in Alvarado through central and southern Mexico and in Guatemala, traveling rapidly through Central America and in the early 1520s before fanning out across South America. This smallpox was pandemic, which is different than endemic. Endemic is local, meaning Africans actually had it, brought it, and they're the ones that took it, right? They're the ones that took it. Then it says here, these and successive waves of disease penetrated up in North America, decimating the densely populated lower Mississippi and southwest in the Amazonia. Now, we know here in our land, if you believe in the Bible, that we were going to be attacked by smallpox, by foreigners of another nation that we never heard of, never known of, we never even spoke their language. It also said that we would diminish in Deuteronomy 28. But in Isaiah, it also says that even that we're going to diminish to the 10th part, to the 10%. Isaiah, I believe, 6. Look it up. If you believe in the Bible, you're technically in there. But apparently you guys don't. So, let's continue. Let me see if I got more. War dogs. Here goes another page here, same book. Another first attributed to the Africans in Mexico was the bringing of smallpox to the mainland. Francisco de Eguía, one of the black slaves of Narvaez expedition in 1520, allegedly died of disease soon after landing in Mexico and the Mexican coast. Now, that was just one person. Unlike later expeditions, Africans did not participate in the conquest of Mexico in the hundreds, for as Bernal Diaz observed, at that time, blacks and horses were worth their weight in gold. Blacks and horses cost about the same. We were on the totem pole. And you're going to find out because we bring proof. And by the way, you know how they say that supposedly we're Spaniards and like we look this way because we mix with Spaniards? Okay. The Dominican chronicler Diego Duran, for example, mentions various servants and blacks, while the native account compiled by Sagahun, known to us as Florentine Codex, simply notes that the Spaniards came some blacks who had crisply curled dark hair. All African slaves and servants, hold on, as the first major conquest of the mainland, the conquest of Mexico had helped inspire and finance a flurry of Spanish expeditions through the Americas. All included African slaves and servants, many of whom, like Juan Garrido and Juan Valiente, became and continued to fight as conquistadors.
Bruh.
As conquistadors. These expeditions can be placed in two groups, one part of the chain or relay system of the conquest that raided out from central Mexico to other parts of chains that conquest and ran into South America. So, who was involved in the conquering of the natives? White and black people. Who brought smallpox? Africans did. Who brought French pox, syphilis? European whites did, okay? And the Swati ones as well, because they were all doing the same shit. You're going to find out as you get further into it. So that's not hate talk. These are facts. We have them in English and in Spanish. Shut your ass up. These are facts. Well, since we're on this topic here, might as well. You see this here? Bobo's, y'all was stupid. That was dumb. Seriously. Since I'm in the page, might as well. You see, he paints his face black, right? Check this out. Color victory, body paint. After a revenge raid, the victorious warriors would stop and paint themselves in an informative manner before entering their tribal camp for the customary and tumultuous victory celebration. The warriors depict here in Sioux, who had adorned himself with several significant marks. His face was covered with grease and charcoal, the black indicating that the fire of revenge in his heart had burned out, and he wishes now to purge the event from his soul. It's the same book that I showed you. Here we see one, Meshiacha. It was imported in the country by the said Negro slave in the fleet of Narvaez. It first broke out in Zampuela. The poor natives, ignorant of the best mode of treatment, the loathsome disorder, sought relief in their usual practice of bathing in cold water. We read that earlier. It didn't work. It does not seem to have been fatal to the Spaniards, many of whom were Swati, black too, and were sleeping with black women as well, importing them, enslaving them. Most of these guys were Sephardics, by the way, Sephardic Jews. Most of the Spaniards coming here were converts or Christians, but a lot of them were Sephardic Jews, fake Catholics, many of whom probably had already had the disorder. We know because remember the other book we read that Spaniards brought French pox to Africa. Well, since they were there, I'm sure they dealt with smallpox, and who were, at all events, acquainted with the proper method of treating. La primera fue de viruela y comenzó de esta manera. Siendo capitán y gobernador Hernán Cortés al tiempo de que el capitán Pánfilo de Narváez desembarcó en esta tierra en uno de sus navios, meaning ships, vino un negro herido de viruelas, la cual enfermedad nunca en esta tierra se había visto. Y esta sazón estaba esta Nueva España en extremo muy lleno de gente. This is just Meshiacha, like how he died. Don't need to read that. Just says the same shit. Same thing. The visit of Narvaez left melancholy traces among the natives. The Negro in his suit brought with him smallpox. That's for later, maybe. Let me see if I can touch on this real quick. Let's continue.
Hi, welcome.
So I want to show you a little quick video so you can see what he's talking about. Just real quick.
Okay, fam. Hey, listen, I really dislike the fact that the feed is so bad. Like, that shit sucks. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to do something. I'm gonna try to use a different program. So I'm gonna log out. I'll be right back. Okay, don't leave. I'll be right back. Let me see if I can leave some music. Maybe I think I can. I don't know if once I log out, I guess I can. Let me try it. But I think I can. I'm gonna try to use a different platform. That may work. All right, I'll be back. Give me about maybe a minute. Hey, that was kind of annoying, man. Shoot. Let me try something real quick. Just get a regular video. Just something real quick. Okay, let me see something. I want to see if the feed looks good, okay, fam? Let me see if it looks decent. Let me see something real quick. Let me take this off. Okay, All right. So I'm gonna. Well, I might as well just use this. Okay, ready? Let me see what it looks. Let me see if the feed looks good. Guess that just may just work, man. I think we onto something. We onto something. All right. So before we get distracted from the topic, the purpose of this class is just to clarify again true history and what Psalms 83 really means, and why Deuteronomy 28 has a lot to do with it as well. So let's not forget. Now, I just have something to say. If you guys recall, the beginning of the video was about that King James was right. He was a so-called Hebrew, right? The guy's like, yeah, but we ruled Europe. Okay. You know what's so funny? They call us Spaniards, right? But they say they ruled Europe. So if they ruled Europe, I mean, that's kind of like 800 years of rulership. Why the fuck are they calling us Spaniards if they're the ones that were ruling Europe for quite some time? You get what I'm saying, bro? I think I need to really come on. Let's be honest here. They're saying they ruled Europe since 711 AD. Why the hell are they calling us Spaniards, bro? We ain't the Spaniards, it's them. You know what I'm saying, bro? Come on, bro. Come on, man. That's kind of weird. I thought about that. I was like, wait a minute. Motherfuckers are calling us Spaniards. Aren't they the Spaniards? We've never been there. And they were, oh, bro, it's just, oof, my God. Hold on.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
I gotta do that one, bro. I gotta do that one because this is crazy. And you know what, man? It has everything to do with. Oh, hold on a second. Let me take this off here on the side. How am I gonna do this? Give me a second, family. Let me open up a window. I got some ain't personal stuff, but just files. Let me see if I can show you guys this real quick. I have 2 screens, so I'm gonna switch over because I think we're gonna work with this one now that I know that it runs well. All right, so let me clear this up now. Go here, go here, go here, go here. Okay, now we're good. I want to show this to you guys. I replace the window. Go here. I think we can see that now. Yeah, all right. I want to bring this to your attention here real quick. Okay, this right here. So there's something called nutria. Okay? Nutria. Nutria is an animal that was in the Californias for a long time. A lot of us don't realize that those movies or history books or so old videos about people going into the sea and to ships and hunting for seals and you know what I mean? Mink coats, those things, right? You just think it's history. But it's very interesting regarding this history here. Okay? So I'm going to take you to a little bit of some history here now. because I think it's time for us to understand what this means to every single one of us here. When we look at scriptures, matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to do this, man, because I am not playing a background in here. Give me a second here, man. Let me do this. Let me go do this. Lounge. I'm going to do it like that. Let me see if I can do something different. Hold on. Give me a second, man. Trying to play a background music. I guess that's different. Okay, so check this. Let me show you something real quick. It's pretty crazy when I found out. Because if you don't know, like, the real threat, like, it don't ever cross your mind, you know? Like, you think, Mink, how does this relate to us? Like, how does this relate to us at all? Like, how does it even consider? I know you guys are probably in a phone, whatever. Like, Google right now, nutria. Okay? This is an important thing, especially if you're from California originally. So let me read this to y'all. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon real quick. Chapter 6, verse 4. It says, because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged right, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Now, again, he gives thrones to nations too, remember? For a beast. He gave power to Cyrus, right? Nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be on them be in high places. When, like, for example, when he, what was it, Solomon Nasser, I think he made him eat dung or something. He made him just tore his mind up in half. For mercy will pardon the meanest, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented. Why? Because you get that much power and you still don't even know how to rule, right? For he which is the Lord over all shall fear no man's persons, no respect of people, neither shall he stand in awe of any man's greatness. For he that made the small and great and cared for all alike. And that's the same thing that applies to us. We should not be at awe of other nations, nor should be at awe towards each other. We should look at each other eye to eye, de ojo a ojo, frente a frente, not below, not above. Regardless of what nation you are, nobody deserves to be looked upon less. That's up to the judgment of the Most High. Let him categorize that shit. It's not our job. Now, look, I showed you guys a part of a video about, you know, certain people, how they feel, well, pretty much certain history about who they think they're not. And the reason I share that is because the first video that I showed you, the lady went off and said, listen, it was you guys that had smallpox. It was these Spaniards that brought it to you guys. You guys are the original people of America. I mean, the only reason you don't remember Mama Africa was, I don't know what else she was going to say. What the hell do you think about erasure? You don't think that shit is racist? I guess it's not when it pertains to so-called Mexicas, Hispanics, so-called Hispanics, so-called Latinos. But I mean, I'm talking about the indigenous people of this mighty land. And you know what? In this channel, I never, ever have bullshitted you guys, man. I tell you guys straight up that I don't feed into politics, but I do look at it because you have to be mindful of what goes on in society. You don't think that that's the way things work? So I've showed how the orange orangutan and his movement was just straight racism. Some people took it like, no, it's not about white people. It's about America. All of you stupid asses that voted for that guy, bro. If you consider yourself so-called Hispanic, man, and it's just like you have a big ass nopal in your forehead, bro, and you still voted for him thinking he's not gonna deport my cousin.
Listen, even these elitists, all right, these elitists, right, so-called people that make money, they're even getting the feel for it. They're starting to find out that what we already knew since the get-go. Listen, man, when I came to this country, well, this so-called land, this land up north, I was a straight spick bean of wetback, straight up, right? That's what they would consider me, an illegal, they say, right? And I remember that my dad was part of the late Braceros programs. He started coming here in late 60s. In late 60s, he started coming, early 70s. So us having to deal with the La Migra in the 1980s, and again, we see the Tijuana border right there. There was a actual McDonald's, in case you guys don't know this. There was a racist white man. Oh, which one isn't, I guess? Perpetual hatred, right? Demonic dominion. Old demonic dominion. In the 1980s, 84, 83, I think, one of those years, he went in there and shot up a whole McDonald's, man. Most of the people there were actually waiting for their familia to cross the border. That was kind of like the stop at that time. See, nobody talks about those things because I guess it doesn't matter because, you know what I mean? We're aliens, right? But you know what? I'm glad that the truth is coming out because it's just like, bro, listen, man. Perpetual hatred.
They don't want anyone
give
for
a
white people
damn.
in this country.
Now, I every now and then run into this video, this young man here, and I don't necessarily subscribe to. Well, you guys will see it. I don't subscribe to his channel, but give me a second. Let me go ahead and put it up here. But he's got some points. I just think he's hold on, dude, come on. He kind of leans a lot towards CNN, I guess. You know what I mean? So that I mean that's what I noticed, but that's my opinion. But anyways, let's check this out real quick. I want to make this point across because I know this. I don't know this guy like personally, but I know of him. And I didn't meet him, but I was in a meeting once where he was doing a presentation.
One of the tweets.
This is this dude used to do this life insurance pyramid scheme, like Primerica, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So us that are in this or were in this insurance industry, we know who this guy is. We know exactly who he is. So now keep this in mind that he's a right winger. Okay, he was promoting everything right wing, everything Trump, trumpeting Trump. Elon Musk, everything that the right said, illegal aliens, get the hell out of my country, deport, invasion, you're poisoning our blood. They embraced all of it. They kept pushing for Trump. Well, now check this out. This is so funny. Guess what happens when you forget who you are. You will never be fucking white, bro. Let's go.
Tweets, our founding fathers, responds back and says, those are not your founding fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Guy posts a picture of the Xavi Ron says, that's your founding father. But that tells you what, a part of this, there's nationalists and there's white nationalists. White nationalists, Vinny, don't want people like us.
She's known no other.
Afro-Trinidadian,
Trinidadian.
But she may be offended by that because it says Daddy. So isn't that like offensive? Like Trinidadian.
Maybe she's. Hang on.
And, but by the way, Trinidadian. I
think that means trisexual. T-R-I?
No.
Trisexual?
To me,
like she'll try anything.
No.
Hello, everybody, guys. We got PB and the Valuetainment panel. The racist.
Sorry, fam. I was switching back and forth, so you know what I mean. I was trying to find myself where I was at. All right, so this guy, he's like, well, there's like a white nationalist side and a racist. I mean, just a nationalist side, right? But then they go off and make fun of this young lady here because of her name, the way she looks. You know what I mean? So anyways, this woman right here, right? So let's go there. Check this out. I just want to show you something.
I like that he brought this up because it comes and bites them in the ass and shit. It's just funny to me, yo. It's like this. These straight MAGAs, man. They know what they're talking about, bro. They're Anglo-Saxon, like they said, the WASP, white Anglo-Saxons. They were never lying. Let's go.
That has nothing to do with that. It has to do with race. They don't want anyone but white people in this country. You not understand that?
Have an immigrant founder. Why? Now, here's what some people will say. The H-1B visa takes job away from Americans. But anybody can start a company. Founding a company doesn't have to be an immigrant to do it. Somebody that's born in America can do it. So why are so many startup founders immigrants? Then we went and looked at to see what percentage of Fortune 5 companies are ran by immigrants or child. So you came here in 60s, you started a company in 70s, your son ends up building a company that becomes a Fortune 500 company. You know what that percentage was? 45% of Fortune 500 companies are ran by, an immigrant or their children. So you look at this data, then we continued going. I'm like, listen, something's got to be the issue here, because the real problem, Tom, is when the employer hires an H-1B person, which, by the way, we've hired a handful in the last 25 years, and it's legal. Nobody's doing anything illegal. If you have the ability to hire one, you do.
But you're doing it.
The MAGA argument, the MAGA argument was no foreigners. That was the argument, wasn't it? Now this guy's justifying, and again, I listen to politics, and he's right there. He's just giving not excuse, but sounding like a Democrat. That's what he sounded like right there. He kind of gets a little bit into it. I think that he's a Democrat. That's what I think he believes in. So he's a Democrat. He's a Republican. I guess, as we always knew, MAGA is all straight white power. This stupid ass over here didn't figure it out because he thought it was green power. Nah, bro. No. The WASP. They want the power. Let's go.
$5,000 a year, hypothetically, versus paying $150, or you hire him $120 versus paying $80, and you save that $60,000, which the job is going to what? Somebody that's coming in as a H-1B visa. That criticism is true. And then we went a little bit deeper, Tom, and we saw the lawsuit with Infosys. Infosys paid $34 million in H-1B lawsuit. I think Apple paid $25 million. Facebook is going through it. And do you know who sued the Trump administration in 2017 on H-1B visas? Amazon. Do you know what company hires the most H-1B visas? Do you know who's ahead and by a mile?
Amazing.
It's Amazon. It's not even close. Do you know where Tesla was ranked on hiring the most H-1B visa folks?
Where was it ranked?
21st or 22nd place.
Okay.
So you're not talking about a top 10. Brandon Kelly, if you guys can send that ranking to Rob for him to have it, you got to see this, because it's interesting as you go deeper and everybody is criticizing everybody, and you go through it deeper, you're like, it's not. But Amazon, majority of the people they're hiring of the H-1B visas, which we have around 500,000, give or take, number one was not only Amazon. Most of Amazon had like 3 or 4 companies that were in the top 20 companies that hire the most people. This isn't the one. There's another chart that she has. She'll send it to you here in a minute. So I understand the arguments going against it. I understand the expansion of it. I understand the concerns. There's these consulting firms that they hire H-1B visas. And let's just say they're going to get you a job for making $120,000 a year. They keep a quarter of it.
All right, fam, I keep clicking on another window. look, it's the point of this video right here is just the reality of the demonic dominion. We know that the WASP is strict predominantly for the WASP, and we know that other nations are predominantly for their other nations. Stop being fools. These are facts. You know, and this is why I think this is probably the best time to be very involved, or at least I would say somewhat, you know, in what these books are talking about. Where can I find that one? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. That's right. It's not on here. This is from. All right, let me bring this out real quick. Take this down. This is from. We're gonna move on from this real quick. This is from the Prayers of Azariah, chapter 1, verse 66. O Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell. Hold on a second. What is that? Damn, I don't want all that. Calm down, Holmes. It says here, for he had delivered us from hell and saved us from the hand of death and delivered us out of the midst of the furnace and burning flame. Even out of the midst of the fire had he delivered us. Now, obviously, that is our hope, because technically hell is captivity. If you pay attention to the history behind their intent, it'll start making sense. I mentioned this book to you guys before. Again, remember, let's not forget the topic. Let's not forget the topic. It's talking about demonic dominion. So here, the book is called, here, let me see. Why isn't it logged in already? I don't understand this thing, bro. Come on, man. Anyways, all right. Let me just get through it. This book is called Secreto 1910. In case you guys don't know, this is regarding. Hold on, come on, get in, dude. Find them, bro. Whatever. Anyways, this is regarding the here. I'll magnify it. It's the el gobierno lo sabe. Los historiadores lo saben. La mayoría de la gente no lo sabe. La Revolución Mexicana no fue planeada en México. It's saying the government knows it, history knows it, the majority of people don't know it, that the Mexican Revolution wasn't planned in Mexico. Just going to cover a couple pages here. So again, this is a demonic dominion. Scriptures say, that trust not thine enemy, for his iron rusted, so does he. Again, this is a book from, here, let me do it like this. Give me a second, let me do it like that, hold on. It's called Secreto 1910. All right. Leopoldo Mendivil Lopez. This is, I would advise you guys to watch a series from Pancho Villa. It's on Hulu. It's very cool, man. And it actually shows you how much fighting we've been through. How many wars from every direction, even till now, so-called, right? We'll say it on the spiritual level. Wild Wars and BHI and, obviously the left and the right. Deciding what our outcome should be. They passed laws in order to what? Oppress our gente, knowing that they never had to have, they knowing that they stole these upper lands. I mean, it's just a fact. They no denying it. And knowing that the origin of their ancestry has always been about
Psalm 64. It says here, al finales del siglo XVIII, la mayor parte del continente americano estaba en manos de los imperios, el español y el británico. En julio de 1776, en ese mismo continente, 13 colonias británicas declararon su independencia respecto a Inglaterra y se hicieron llamar Estados Unidos de América. En la década de 1810, pay attention, una gran parte de las colonias españolas en América se rebelaron contra España y declararon su independencia. Entre ellas se encontraba la Nueva España, que hoy llamamos México. This is a statement from Thomas Jefferson. Pay attention to what he said. Keep in mind, man, that this is important too, you know. Don't ever let this go by your mind. Before people try to claim superiority and supposedly that eugenics is favorable to them, nah. Make sure that you understand they're just collateral damage. They're just the roaches that came with the boats. And the scriptures allowed this to happen. But they never played fair and square, because if they did, they knew they would lose. You guys need to watch Pancho Villa, man. They've been hiding the history of that man for quite some time. Por el momento, says Thomas Jefferson, aquellos países, las colonias de España en América, se encuentran en las mejores manos. Solo temo que estas resulten demasiado débiles para mantenerlos sujetos hasta que nuestra población progrese lo suficiente para ir arrebatándoselos parte por parte. You see that? That was in 1876. Do you think 1848 happened just like because, I don't know, it just happened? No. It wasn't the case. We see here also, in regards to James Monroe, declaración de 2 de diciembre del 1823, semilla de la llamada doctrina Monroe y del destino manifiesto. Dice James Monroe, habremos de considerar cualquier intento por parte de los poderosos europeos para extender su sistema a cualquier porción de este hemisferio como un peligro para nuestra paz y nuestra seguridad. Now, when he says us, he ain't talking about us. He's talking about them. Regardless of how you want to see the gringos, hey, let them deal with that little differentiation. They're talking about us and them. No podremos ver ninguna interposición dirigida a controlar a cualquiera de las naciones recién independizadas de este continente americano por parte de cualquier potencia europea, sino como la manifestación de una disposición hostil hacia los Estados Unidos. You see? This is the manifest destiny, so-called. They did not want no other nation to come and interject or give anybody so-called power here, some kind of investment, some kind of help, some kind of assistance, because KKKs, the gringos, you know what I mean? And they come in all colors, fam. This is how they wanted it. They didn't do this alone. Don't forget that they did not do this alone. They came together. They did it together. They're doing it together to this day. And they always believed in this. This is why this book is called Secreto de 1919. Check this out. It says here, la colisión de los imperios hace 100 años. Para 1910, México y las otras naciones recién independizadas en América Latina llevaban casi un siglo de ser las trincheras de los Estados Unidos en una guerra secreta contra las potencias de Europa por controlar el continente de sus vastos recursos. This is, we're talking about, you know, the World War II potentially, in between World War I and World War II. En aquel entonces el imperio español ya era solo una sombra de su antigua gloria, right? That we're seeing that, you know, Spain is losing power. La guerra de intereses por el dominio, right? Demonic dominion. La guerra de intereses por el dominio de América se libraba entre Inglaterra, el Imperio Alemán, Francia y los Estados Unidos. Los estadounidenses
emprendieron una agresiva campaña de infiltración, espionaje y control político clandestino en los gobiernos latinoamericanos para detener la incursión de las potencias europeas. You guys listen to what it's saying? Esta maniobra se basó en la doctrina Monroe, resumida en la expresión América para los americanos. America for Americans. Don't they say that shit to this very day? Y en el destino manifiesto. Again, this is a book called Secreto 1910. I would say take time to read it. In case you guys don't know this, I'll show you this now. Actually, you know what? Let me go to here. Let me give you guys something real quick. Baruch 4:1 says, "This is the book of the commandments of God, of the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life. Such as leave it shall die." I read that because I find it interesting. You know, brothers ask me to do classes in Spanish, and I try. The moment I do, people leave. And I don't see enough people watching them. Maybe it's time. Who knows? But again, man, the book is the book. Anyways, Baruch 4:14. "Let them that dwell about Zion come, and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting had brought upon them. For he had brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, strange language, who neither reverence old man nor pitieth the child. These have carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and that was alone, and that left that was alone, desolate, without daughters." You know, when it talks about the widow, talking about a nation that is dead, asleep. That's why she's a widow. She lost her children. They're dead. They're asleep. Where are they? Revelation 6:8, it says, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And the power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth." I've given you guys some material to prove this is the fourth part. "To kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth." But the interesting part is in hell. Hell followed with him. Captivity. Hell is captivity. Check this out. I'll tell you guys real quick this. The Unknown History of Latino Lynching. July 29, 2014. It's from News Taco. Look. Whoever told us that? Nobody will share that. No, for a long time we were given images of other people being done this to. And when we see pictures of us, it didn't matter. Like, it wasn't important. Like, we were secondary. You understand what this war is about? Research on Latino lynching is new. This is a summary of Harvard Civil Rights Civil Liberty Law Review article that draws a direct line from 19th and 20th century Latino lynching to today's movement to suppress Spanish and forced immigrants to assimilate. Mexican men were lynched for acting too Mexican. Mexican women were also lynched if they resisted the sexual advances of Anglo men. Now, Anglo didn't just mean white, by the way. Gringo is what we saw. Look at the quarterback from Kansas City. I should tell you enough. As fascinating and enraging. Read. Law of the Noose, A History of Latino Lynching by Richard Delgado. Delgado attempts to shed a light on the largely unknown history of Latinos, particularly Mexican Americans in Southwest U.S. Southwest, by the way, who were lynched between 1846 and 1925. This roughly the same time that many blacks were lynched in the U.S. as well. While many know, of the ominous and horrific fate that blacks and African Americans saw in the U.S. Really, ain't no difference. Few known of the lynchings that Latinos were met with. Delgado challenges scholars of these lynchings and explaining that the English-only movement are present our present day form of lynching. Yep. Who was involved in his lynching? Some people predominantly promote that shit, but they always say, "Nah, you guys didn't go through it." Don't they say the same shit today? That's the one. These things that happen. These things did happen. Should we overlook it? I don't think so. Why should we? For the sake of someone else's feelings? Because they don't like it? Because it's too harsh for them? Isaiah 5:13 says this, "Therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up in thirst." Meaning honorable men that don't teach them truth. You got dirty water, like bringing confusion. "Therefore he hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. And they and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiced shall descend into it." See, so you guys that are part of that will also fall into that, like the deceived and the deceiver. It's all in the Most High's hand. Yeah, for sure. And in case you guys don't believe that hell is captivity, I'll show you right here. Baruch 3:8. It says this, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us." Has scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquity of our fathers, which departed from the Lord. Captivity is hell. Captivity also is taxes. It's called money magic. Now let me show you something real quick. Because we know. Let me see if I can see this right here. This right here. Let me see if I can get it.
This is Democracy Now! Peace. Amy Goodman, Juan Gonzalez. This year marks 200 years since the United States effectively declared all of Latin America and the Caribbean within its sphere of influence. On December 2nd, 1823, President James Monroe outlined what became known as the Monroe Doctrine. He warned the nation to stay out of the Americas, saying, "Consider any attempt on their part to extend their system to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety," unquote. Over the past 200 years, the Monroe Doctrine has been repeatedly used to justify scores of invasions, interventions, and CIA regime changes in the Americas. This is Vermont's independent Senator Bernie Sanders talking about the Monroe Doctrine last year, shortly before Russia invaded Ukraine.
Mr. President, Vladimir Putin may be a liar and a demagogue, but it is hypocritical for the United States to insist that we, as a nation, do not accept the principle of spheres of influence. For the last 200 years, our country has operated under the Monroe Doctrine. embracing the principle that as the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere, the United States has the right, according to the United States, to intervene against any country that might threaten our alleged interests. That's United States policy. And under this doctrine, the United States has undermined and overthrown at least a dozen countries throughout Latin America, Central America, and the Caribbean.
That was Senator Bernie Sanders speaking last year. Well, on Saturday, American University in Washington, D.C. will be hosting a one-day conference titled Burying 200 Years of the U.S. Monroe Doctrine. Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez will give the opening plenary address.
I wanted to show you that because this video that comes up next is going to now bring us back to, remember what I said, nutria, right? I'm kind of going back and forth, family. I'm going back and forth. I'm going back and forth. Timeline. I've showed you guys some history in the past when they got here, and then we went into the 19th history or 19th century, late 18th, early 1900s, right? Now I'm kind of bringing you back a little bit to the 1800s. 1800s. So we're talking about 120 years of some, history of back and forth. Just consider it me trying to taking you through a funnel effect. Just follow me here. So now we got a understanding of a demonic dominion. We know now Monroe Doctrine, manifest destiny, history that was never told to us. Right? We didn't know what happened, what occurred, how we get sick, what the F, right? Okay, so now let's dig into this nutria concept. So again, nutria, as I mentioned to you, I don't know why it didn't pop up over here. Okay, anyways, well, my bad. Nutria, man, come on, bro, what the hell? So nutria is like ink coats. Like this type of fur, okay? So what does it relate to? How does this relate to us? First, I want to show you this. And sorry, if you guys have kids, please don't let them watch this. This is really sad. But I want to show you, again, in this channel, we don't BS. We show facts. So nutria was an animal that was predominantly in California. Okay, these are animals that we live with and we understood and we knew how to nurture our environment. But there are some nations that just don't have that in their spirit. Let's go. That's pretty graphic, right? It's pretty graphic, but that happened in our land. That happened to the animals that we dealt with, that you could say we cared about. Okay, and this is a history that for some reason they don't tell us. They don't. You see, we all believe, I don't know, it happened in 1846 somehow, in the last 3-4 years, people were fighting. No, man, this shit was planned.
They had their eyeballs on this continent the entire time. Don't let these deceivers lie to you. This is a Professor Guadalupe Jimenez. I think she's a Spaniard, to be honest, because she tries to give truth, but then she sides with the Spaniard side. I mean, that's what I'm getting the essence of it. You know what I mean? But anyways, for the sake of the class, let's continue. Watch what she says regarding the nutria. Yeah, they were skinning them alive, bro. Alive. And the reason I'm sharing this is because they were doing that predominantly here in California. That's why when they navigated around South America all the way up here, they started seeing that this type of fur was very popular in China and Russia. They were they were decimating all the animals in the Pacific. This is a nation of people that just do not know how to conduct themselves around other, I guess, species. That's biblical. Let's text it in. Oh, and this is in Spanish, so if you guys don't like it, you might as well leave now.
Regalaban la Constitución en 1803 a los locales para ver si se animaban a hacerse. Bueno, el viaje que nos interesa es su segundo viaje a la América Española, porque en ese viaje en búsqueda de una mercancía sumamente apreciada en dos cortes, en la corte de los zares rusos y en la corte del emperador de China, era la nutria. No sé si ustedes han visto lo que es una mercancía sumamente apreciada en dos cortes, en la corte de los zares rusos y en la corte del emperador de China, era la nutria. No sé si ustedes han visto lo que es un animalito de nutria, son preciosos, pero la nutria más fina del mundo estaba en las Californias. Casi acabaron con ella estos comerciantes, casi acabaron con la extinguieron, pero eran sumamente finas. Entonces, claro, en Rusia y en China, las dos cortes imperiales, era la favorita. Entonces, estos comerciantes iban, compraban o mandaban matar a estos animalitos. No les podían dar tiros para no hacerle hoyos a las pieles, a palos. Y entre más chiquitas y más finas, mejor.
See what I mean? So they were bashing their heads. They were bashing their heads like this animal here. Bashing their heads. See, why? Because their fur. Now this is not the same animal, but it's the same concept. Bashing their heads because they couldn't shoot them, right? They needed them whole. So they would bash their heads to keep the fur complete and peel them alive. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care what you say. That's fucking evil, bro. That's evil. Evil. There's no excuse for that type of treatment. I don't care who you are, man. You deserve everything that's coming to you. It's like, man. That's, I mean, to me, it's just, bro. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue.
Horrible. Bueno, era un comercio espantoso, pero les podían dar tiros para no hacerle hoyos a las pieles, a palos. Y entre más chiquitas y más finas, mejor. Era horrible. Bueno, era un comercio espantoso, pero les daba muchísimo dinero, muchísimo. Y entonces, así empezaron. Y van a haber varios países interesados en este comercio. Por supuesto, los Estados Unidos con estos comerciantes, también los ingleses y también los rusos. Los rusos tenían un establecimiento muy importante ruso en Alaska. Ustedes se acordarán que Alaska fue rusa. Y ahí había un hombre que se llamaba Alejandro Baranov, que hace un acuerdo con estos comerciantes estadounidenses para el comercio de esas pieles tan apreciadas.
Now, keep in mind, family, keep in mind, right? These are a nation of people that California doesn't belong to them. What the fuck are they doing in California? What are they doing in California? Remember, keep in mind that the land of California does not belong to them. And they're making profit from a land that does not belong to them, decimating animals who were technically, familiar with who we were, and we were familiar with them, or else we would have decimated them too. But we don't have the same spirit. You know what I mean? It's disgusting, man. And again, remember, family, when Hernan Cortez came up to the Californias, he didn't come with just gringos, güeros. Estebancito, remember that? Estebancito. I got a history on his punk ass. I'll do a class on him soon. Let's continue.
Que así contrataban a los eleuts, que eran los esquimales, que se fueran en sus kayaks, que son sus canoas, y que ellos fueran los cazadores de las nutrias por toda la costa. Bajaban por las costas de California matando a los animalitos, como les digo, a palos, ¿verdad? Y se las vendían a estos comerciantes, tanto rusos como de Estados Unidos. Y estos iban a Cantón, en China, allí desembarcaban con todas las pieles para venderlas muy caras en la corte china. Y también se iban a Rusia con esa.
Think they got Eskimos to do it, family? They got Eskimos to do it because they're not the same people as we are. That's very fucking clear. And I've said that to you guys before. Okay? Did we mix with them? Yes, we did. You can tell. But that's why they got Eskimos to do it, because our gente wouldn't do that shit. It wasn't in our spirit to do that. We at least have some common sense. For you guys that want to say, oh, you guys are Eskimos, you guys are Mongols, we have no similar tradition whatsoever to them. Whatsoever. They don't eat our food. They don't dress like we do. They mimic some of the shit nowadays, but there's no historical facts that we have any relationship to them whatsoever. Food, clothing, music, singing. Come on, man. Dancing. Please. Let's go.
Eso es lo que estaban haciendo en este viaje. Tenían un barco que se llamaba Lelia Bird, y en ese barco a eso iban. Pero quiero decirles que aunque él está platicando todo lo que significaba comprar esas pieles, venderlas, las rutas que seguían, los viajes tan difíciles que tenían que hacer, por ejemplo, cuenta que cuando regresaban precisamente en 1804 venían de Cantón a las Californias, les tocó una época muy terrible en el mar, casi pierden el barco, pero bueno, sí, la pasaban muy duro, pero era muy lucrativo el comercio. Pero entonces él se da cuenta que para Estados Unidos lo más lucrativo no van a ser las pieles, se están acabando además, que va a ser apoderarse de las Californias. Se ha dado cuenta que hay dos puertos magníficos para el Pacífico. Uno se llama San Diego y el otro se llama San Francisco. Y esos dos se los describe y dice, es que tienen que ser nuestros. Bueno, entonces lo que él va haciendo es dar una detallada explicación desde lo que sería British Columbia, que está en Canadá, después lo que sería el estado de Washington actual en Estados Unidos, luego California, desde Bodega Bay hasta San Diego, y en aquella época las Californias no estaban separadas.
Now the interesting part is this right here. Check this out. She's talking about this book right here. This book right here. Diario de un viaje entre China y la costa noreste de América efectuado en 1804. I guarantee you guys can't find that book. And if you can, it's $2,500. Watch. Let me show you right now. I think you can find it here. There's no books here. See? Supposedly is this one. $2,400. See? $2,500. William Shaler is the name. Why does that book cost so much, man? William Shaler is the name. I invite you guys to get to at least read portions of it, because it allows you to read at least 26 pages, and it goes into detail of what she's talking about. Embarcadores, when they were actually dealing in the Californias. They've been dealing with Chinese people, man, since a while. It's nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? They want to claim like, oh, nah, bro. If you look at this particular page here, it at least tells you, los comerciantes, nuestros cargamentos de la China que antes pagaban con estos pieles en dólares españoles mexicanos. They used to call dólares españoles, meaning pesos. They used to call them dólares españoles. See that? Ahora se consiguen con letras de cambio, meaning, paper, sobre Inglaterra por opio y por telas europeas y americanas. Drugs. So we see now who the first drug smugglers. They were smuggling, these Europeans were smuggling opium, right here, por opio y por telas europeas y americanas. Opium. So the first, what do you call it? Drug smugglers are WASP, the Anglo-Saxon people. You guys are the first drug dealers. You talk about us being drug dealers. No, you guys are the official first drug dealers. You were the first ones to bring opium. Matter of fact, you took away the marijuana power from Mexico, and now you sell it here like nothing. You love this shit. You just try to say you don't. It says here, la doctrina Monroe declaraba en 1823 responde a la presencia rusa en el Pacífico. So you see, because they were hunting animal and game all over those lands, they had to pass a law before Russia would gain power in that region. No a la presión de otras potencias europeas. La pérdida de la Alta California en 1848 no es más que polvo de aquellos lados amasados en los primeros años del siglo XVIII. You see that? It was just a confirmation of what they wanted. Estados Unidos había declarado su independencia de Inglaterra en 1776, el mismo año en que el capitán James Cook zarpaba de Plymouth, Inglaterra, para iniciar la expedición que daría a conocer el mundo al valor de la piel de nutria, ¿sí? Y de las focas del Pacífico Norte, nutria and the seals. En 1784 se publicó el diario de Cook. Who was the ones decimating these animals? That's some sad shit right there. A demonic dominion. Demonic dominion. Check this out. Fucking real quick. Psalms 49, verse 6. It says, they that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can be by any means redeemed by his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their souls is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever and not see corruption. Verse 10, for he seeth that his wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Yet, now this is what it's talking about. They trust in the materialistic world. Since the beginning of time, since they came here, was for what? For gold and land. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. Don't we hear that? And their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Don't we know that now? Do we not see this? Manifest destiny, manifesting since the 1780s. We used to think that it wasn't like that.
We thought different. We thought different. Let me introduce you to this video here real quick. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come back and forth. Let me show you this. See if I can find it. Let me see if I can get it. Hold on. Okay, here it goes right there. I found this to be very interesting. And I thought, well, I don't remember even where I found it, to be honest with you. But when I did, I thought it was pretty interesting. So this is from something called the Cult of Babel, right? There's a particular, I guess, philosophy of the ancient death cult. All right. Now, Baal is the storm god of ancient Mesopotamia, worshipped by dark solar cults throughout the ages. The sky, war, and fertility are considered his dominion. The word Baal is both a proper name and a horrific title meaning Lord or Master that has been attached to several deities. Sacrifice. Worship of Baal under several different names over time has been thoroughly associated with the practice of blood sacrifice, human sacrifice, child sacrifice. Now, we hear this a lot here in this land. The offering of one's firstborn son is considered the highest form of worship and the most potent form of magic ritual at the disposal of the Baalist. There are logical and opportunistic motivations involved in this practice, as well as cannibalism. Check this out. I'm going to read. I'll do it here. This is the most evident when comparing the Greek and Roman pantheons, but can be applied to even Western religions, from modern Christianity to ancient Sumerian. Now it says all three Abrahamic religions are founded in Baalism. Well, we know that it's in the Bible. The priesthood has created the division of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam to continue this human sacrifice ritual perpetually through religious persecution and endless wars. Three sects of tyrannical monotheisms, all modeled after ancient Antinous sun worship. The god of the cult of Baal is the sadist of the highest order. Now we know Judaism is basically Kabbalah. We know that now. Don't get confused. Christianity, Islam, we all know this shit. Now, here's where I want to bring you to the attention, and then we'll move on. It says here that every mystery school of esoteric knowledge has its inversion. There are both light and dark, variant of Freemasonry, Kabbalah, Luciferianism, and every society of organization presented in this diagram. It says the Satanist, let's continue on the bottom one, 6, the Satanist is not confined to worshiping one central deity, but it is devoted to an ideological of self-deification and the pursuit of self-interest above morality. Remember how, what's that name Billy Carson said? I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in that we all become like Christ. This consciousness, awareness shit. Do what thou will is their motto. Christianity does the same. Right-wingers do the same shit. Do what thou will. They don't believe the Bible. They're selecting what they want to believe. They still eat pork. They don't keep the commandments. Come on. They're celebrating Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. They don't celebrate nothing in the Bible. Let's be real. The cult actively seeks out individual with tendencies towards narcissism and psychopathy to join their ranks. This is where it gets interesting, okay? Luciferians know the same satanic ideology, but have been taught the deepest metaphysical secrets and have access through magical rituals to pantheons of demonic entities. That's very true, fam. This is very true. Now let's skip a little bit here because I want to show you something that
Let me get to the point. This is 11. Symbolism. Words are spells, and art is a form of magic. The cult continued worship of Baal is demonstrated in its prevalence of bills, balls, and beliefs. In modern culture, all the words derived from Baal are monetary, political, and judicial system, professional sports, and all form of corporate-driven entertainment openly parade Baalistic satanic symbolisms in front of the obvious audience on a daily basis. You see this? Are you guys listening to this? Let it not pass you by. Let this not pass you by. Hey, let's go back. Deception, ambition for domination, combined with the absence of morality, makes the art of deception as a key value in the cult. Catholicism is centered on the Roman two-faced God of gods, Janus, representing two-faced nature of the Vatican, which is Satanist at its core. The Vatican is so inundated with paganism symbols and blatant contradictions within its selected scriptures that reality is literally inverted from honest believers. They worship death. Damn. Isaiah chapter. The cross is a plain demonstration of human sacrifice worship. Counterintuitively justifications have been canonized to disguise the obvious. What is that saying, family? We have to be mindful what kind of war we're in, right? It says here the symbolism, word, spells, arts, and form of magic. Art is a form of magic. The cult continued worship of Baal is demonstrated in the prevalence of bills, meaning money, like money magic, balls, sports, and belief, religion. In modern culture, all words derived from Baal, bills, balls, belief, our monetary, political, and judicial system, professional sports, and all form of corporate-driven entertainment openly parade Baalistic satanic symbols in front of obviously audience on a daily basis. Banking. Occultists practicing Babylonian money magic.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Money magic. You don't say. From Babylonia? Yeah. It's an old thing. This is where it comes from. Money magic is coming from the Babylonian concepts. They had a government, a monetary system. They did it. Occultists practicing Babylonian money magic have been impending humanity development, imposing an endless dark age on Earth, and preventing Atlantean free agent technology from reemerging. Interesting, right? Right. Now check this out. We have read before that Revelation 13 talked about, and he caused, I think, I'll just kind of paraphrase where he caused rich and poor, big, great or small, I think, right, to receive the mark, meaning that nobody could trade unless it was because of them. All right. I'm going to show you where that comes from. Check this out. Let me close this up.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
August 15th, 1971 will stand as an important
of a much deeper problem.
At Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, delegates from 44 allied and associate countries arrived for the opening of the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference.
Our story begins in 1944. With World War II coming to an end, the Allied nations met at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to create a new financial system which would stabilize the world once the war ended. With America poised to enter a golden age of prosperity, the U.S. dollar was chosen as the world's reserve currency.
The Bretton Woods system was created after the Second World War at the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire. And rather than using gold as the means of exchange between countries, as was the case under the old gold standard, the dollar was going to be used. The dollar was chosen because back then it was as good as gold.
You see what I mean? That's a very important thing not to overlook. Scriptures are right there in front of us and to tell us. It says it in Revelation 13. But the only way you would be able to trade was because of you having his mark. The mark. The Sharag, they call it. Right? But again, what occurred? It went from gold to paper. From actual materialistic, like actual physical, gold to printed paperwork. Let me show you this real quick. I got a text message and I think I need to have to excuse me, cut it short. I apologize. Give me a second. I just want to try to finish off with some of these videos because I think it's important for us to know. Check this out. Let's listen to us real quick. See, every nation that has used this system has failed. Every single one. Every single one has used the Nimrod money magic system. One way, shape, or form. Their religion, their government, their structure. It has never changed. Let's continue because we're almost done.
Please don't shoot the messenger just because you don't like the message. I am not responsible for the conditions that we face as a nation today, but I am not going to sugarcoat what the situation is. My guess is you already know it in your hearts and in the backs of your minds, if not in the front. So I thought it might be useful if we took stock of where we are. And by taking stock, I mean economics above all else. That's a core part of our situation about which Americans are extraordinarily poorly informed. I do believe we are at a major transition point in the history of the United States and probably of the whole world. I know that sounds grandiose, and I don't normally talk in grandiose terms, but the situation calls for it. And as I say, I'm not going to shrink away from why I think this. So let me begin by telling you why I think it's such an important moment in our history. For most of the last 50 years, roughly since 1970, the dominant economic reality of the global economy and of the United States as the major player and shaper of that global economy in the last 50 years That period can be characterized by many names, but the one that economists use is the phrase neoliberal globalization. And here's what it means, that in an era that we remember with names like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, we turned away from the legacy of the New Deal. We turned away, as did many other countries, from the notion that a catastrophe like the Great Depression of the 1930s required that government play a major role in keeping capitalism tolerable to mass of people. Remember what we did in the 1930s. We established Social Security that had never existed before in the United States. We established a minimum wage that had never existed before in the United States. We established unemployment insurance that had never existed before in the United States. And the government hired and paid 15 million people who were unemployed, and nothing like that had ever happened in the United States either. The government was called in to do all these things, in the words of one clever thinker, to give capitalism a human face. And it was paid for because it was very expensive, as you can imagine, to give every elderly American a Social Security check every month for the rest of their lives, to give unemployed people a check every week for a year or two, to hire 15 million people. And the money that paid for all of that were heavy taxes placed on corporations and the rich. It's an important reminder for those of you who do not think that here in the United States we can ever tax corporations and the rich. It's an important reminder, of course we can, because we already did. As the remembrance, a footnote, the politician who had the courage to tax corporations and the rich, Franklin Roosevelt, was re-elected president 3 consecutive times. He has been and is to this moment the most successful popular president in the history of the United States, starting with George Washington. So not only can you tax corporations and the rich, but when we had a president who was forced from below to do it, he became the most popular politician we've ever had.
Yeah, when things are good. Now let's look at this, the phases. And I'm not trying to rush, family, but I do have to take care of something, man. It just came up, and
every empire falls. That is certain. No matter how long they reigned and how far their rule stretched. From the Romans.
I had other examples to show you, but I would like to play this video because I think
every empire falls.
Hey. Anyways, let's listen to this video real quick because I think it's going to summarize my point. We were going to talk about a little bit on the 4 beasts and all that, but again, I can't. Anyways, hopefully you guys can understand. You know how sometimes it is here. Anyhow, all right, let me play it primarily and then we'll be out. All right, let's go.
Every empire falls. That is certain. No matter how long they reigned and how far their rule stretched. From the Romans who ruled for over 1,000 years to the Ottomans who spanned continents, and the USSR that changed the political landscape of the modern world. So is the empire we're living under today also crumbling?
Yes. The key question is how fast.
We have bounties beyond those known to the people of any other day.
American democracy is obviously limping on both feet.
America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
The US empire is falling, and there are 3 symptoms of its impending demise that we can see from looking to the past. Let's start with the oldest of the bunch. These videos are made possible by our supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help us tell more stories like this, you can become a paying member through the link in the description. Now back to the video. The Roman Empire oversaw the lives of millions of people. Remnants of its great reign still stand in cities across the world, a testament to their reach and influence in the lands they conquered.
Never has Rome been greater or stronger than now!
But then, after 1,000 years of domination, it fell. And just like Rome wasn't built in a day, it didn't fall in one either. Instead, the fall of the Roman Empire was death by 1,000 cuts. But there's one factor in particular we're going to look at: internal decay.
At the height of its grandeur and its glory, a civilization so powerful it could never be conquered from without. Yet it found the seeds of its destruction within itself.
There was a huge disparity between the lives of the elite and the commoners. Rome's elites lived in grand estates, hosting lavish, decadent banquets where they'd feast on peacock tongue and wine from naked waiters.
Every one of these senatorial families has holdings all over the Roman Empire. They're the equivalent of small multinational corporations. They are wealthy in a way that is impossible for us to understand.
The poor lived a very different reality. They worked menial jobs and lived mostly on bread and porridge, living in overcrowded, badly built buildings, prone to collapse and spreading disease.
The games are all about Roman emperors giving the people what they need, and it's always described as bread and circuses. They had to feed the people of Rome, but once they were fed, they had to be entertained.
Let the games begin!
There were famines, peasant uprisings, and slavery, and the Roman tax system disproportionately impacted the lower classes, while the wealthy often avoided taxes through exemption or corruption.
This is now a new era of Roman history. Rome is no longer what it was. Rome is in decline.
The middle class was shrinking, and the economy became increasingly polarized between the very rich and the very poor, all fueling resentment and instability. So what does this tell us about the US?
Home they've always dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made.
The middle class was once a symbol of the American dream. It meant owning your own home with a white picket fence, a car, kids going to school, a perceived ease and quality of life that couldn't be found anywhere else in the world, and that anyone could achieve so long as they worked hard enough.
We are a prospering people, wherever we live, or earn our livelihood.
But for the past few decades, that's all become increasingly out of reach for lots of Americans.
Some people skipping meals because they simply can't afford it.
The number of people experiencing homelessness in a single night went up 12%.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of people are literally asking for donations to afford medical treatment.
Our roads and bridges are crumbling, our airports are out of date, and the vast majority of our seaports are in danger of becoming obsolete.
But Americans from the grocery store to the gas station are seeing their budgets tighten every single month.
And the changes suggested would mean higher taxes for the average American family, widening America's already massive income gap.
90% of the wealth is right here in the top. And then the lower middle class, they've got 0.3% of a piece. Yeah, they got some crumbs there. And the poorest, they have no pie. In fact, they have less than no pie. They actually have a bill for pie. They're in pie debt.
They're struggling to meet rent or mortgage payments, repay college loans, to repay loans for a car.
While the wealthy have become steadily wealthier, wages have been stagnant and costs of living have surged. And it's not like these changes are mutually exclusive. It's off the backs of workers, off the exploitation of the American masses, that the wealthy continue to engorge themselves.
Elon Musk has officially become the richest person in the world. His net worth has crossed the $400 billion US mark.
Companies buying out the housing market, insurance companies making healthcare unaffordable, politicians taking money from lobbies to protect corporate interests and fill their own pockets, and the working class is well aware.
Hoarding wealth is so harmful, so unethical, so rage-inducing.
Billionaires should not exist. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment, you got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now.
For 5 stitches, $3,800.
What?
Like, it's so freaking hard to live here.
North America is one big scam.
And then there's the internal social and political decay. People have become disenchanted with the illusion of American democracy, of its promises of equality, of equal opportunity for all as long as you pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
You can see a sea of people all united under one cause. They are protesting for racial equality.
The murder of a healthcare executive has led to online popularity for the shooter.
Mangione has emerged in some circles as a sympathetic figure fighting the system.
All this leads to political instability, economic trouble, and social unrest, which weakens the empire at its core. But an empire is bigger than its center. It's a network of vassal states serving the core's interests, and keeping all those entities in check is done through both soft power and hard power. That brings us to symptom number 2. To understand soft power and how it plays into imperial decline, let's look at the Ottomans.
It was a huge empire, dominated by a Turkish dynasty that had its origins in Asia Minor.
The Ottoman Empire was one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history, spanning 3 continents at its height. It was a hub of cultural and scientific innovation, producing advancements in medicine, astronomy, architecture, and engineering that changed the world.
They ruled a considerable mix of peoples and faiths.
There was no great history of ethnic tension, even though there was a history of massively complicated ethnic and confessional coexistence.
It lasted almost 600 years, until it didn't. One factor that contributed to its demise was its waning influence over the peoples and territories it had under its control, also known as the loss of soft power. Soft power is about being more persuasive than coercive, about getting people to comply without using force. In the case of the Ottomans, it was a delicate balance of diplomacy and cultural influence. But over time, the empire's ability to foster loyalty among diverse groups was eroding, aided by rising nationalism within these communities.
The Greeks were the first to rebel against the Ottoman shackles.
The minute you start getting a political world, this system is going to break down, and that is what happens in the 19th.
People stopped buying into the vision of the empire and began to break off and pursue their own interests. Now, the US has been really good at soft power. It began after World War II, when the US positioned itself as a global leader promoting democracy, economic growth, and cultural influence.
Joe's the king because he can buy more with his wages than any other worker on the globe.
It is the most important idea that the United States has contributed to the world. Citizens of every rank can expect to have a better, richer, happier life.
It helped rebuild war-torn Europe, set up major global institutions where it continues to hold significant power, and has exported music, television, and pop culture across the world for decades. And the messaging of the soft power has been consistent and clear.
Shining city upon a hill. After 200 years, she's still a beacon, still a magnet for all who must have freedom.
But for soft power to work, for people to buy into the fantasy and want to participate, they need to see credibility and moral consistency. Now, just to be clear, the US has violated the principles it preaches since its founding, not to mention since its emergence as a global hegemon. It seems the majority of people were willing to overlook that and buy into the American dream. But the illusion is falling apart.
The mob tore down scaffolding, battled their way through the last line of police defense, and broke into the Capitol building itself.
At home, the land of democracy, liberty, and human rights hasn't kept up the best image in recent years, and it's not any better abroad. The US has spearheaded and overseen devastating wars, crippling debt, human rights violations, and environmental damage across the world, which has made it hard to take preaching of democracy and freedom seriously.
America no longer charts a course and therefore has lost all rights to set it, and even more so, to impose it on others.
Disillusionment with American values is growing, and in its panic, the empire continues to thrash and bully to stay relevant. That's where hard power comes in, and brings us to the third symptom of the fall of an empire. This one is best illustrated by the Soviet Union. Now, the USSR ideologically rejected the idea of imperialism, but the reality is that it looked and acted like an empire.
The Soviet Communist Party has not faced a serious internal threat to its political rule since the 1920s.
There was a centralized authority overseeing expansion and control of a collection of republics and satellite states, where movements for autonomy were suppressed. What tethered these states together was a unified ideology, communism. But it was also hard power, military might. And that costs money.
It is here, in Red Square, that the superpower Soviet Union holds its military parades, displaying its might for all the world to see.
At its strongest, the Soviet Union had 5 million soldiers stationed around the Union, and pursued wars and conquests.
By the way, you're going to see Trump's team doing this. This is exactly what they're doing. This is what she's talking about, this the third demise. They're doing exactly this. Nationalism. Nationalism.
This one is best illustrated by the Soviet Union. Now, the USSR ideologically rejected the idea of imperialism, but the reality is that it looked and acted like an empire.
The Soviet Communist Party has not faced a serious internal threat to its political rule since the 1920s.
There was a centralized authority overseeing expansion and control of a collection of republics and satellite states, where movements for autonomy were suppressed. What tethered these states together was a unified ideology, communism. But it was also hard power, military might. And that costs money.
It is here, in Red Square, that the superpower Soviet Union holds its military parades, displaying its might for all the world to see.
At its strongest, the Soviet Union had 5 million soldiers stationed around the Union, and pursued wars and conquests to maintain and expand its reach. Then there's all the money spent on the arms race during the Cold War. Money spent on propping up parties in proxy wars across the world, and money spent on wars like Afghanistan, a protracted 10-year-long conflict that cost them $50 billion.
The superpower from the north occupies Afghanistan with more than 100,000 troops, a modern mechanized army.
Eventually, the cost of keeping the empire in check became unmanageable, and the economy took a hit. By the late 80s, people within the Union were struggling with soaring poverty and a low quality of life, with no strategic wins to show for all that money spent. Military and ideological overextension drained not only the economy, but public morale as well, until people got fed up.
In Moscow, the hammer and sickle is lowered for the last time.
Sounds familiar.
All estimates agree that the cost will be at least $1 trillion. The Bush administration never expected the war to drag on as long as it has.
The fall of Kabul to the Taliban marked an abrupt end to America's longest war. The war cost American taxpayers about $1 trillion.
The US carried out long, brutal, expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, with nothing to show for it except instability and devastation and financial loss. Then there's the constant ideological wars. The war on communism, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on China and Russia. There's a constant boogeyman in the ether to justify US military spending. The US maintains the most bases in the world at over 700 and spends hundreds of billions of dollars on the military every year, more than the next 10 countries combined. It's funding Ukraine in its war against Russia. It might support Taiwan in a war against China. billions of dollars spent, and we can't remember the last war the US has actually won. But last year, an undeniable awakening happened.
This has been a senseless and a deliberate slaughter, a genocide, and it is happening on our dime.
For over a year, Americans and the rest of the world have watched US politicians from both sides of the aisle cheer on and fund the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza to the tune of billions of dollars. It has shattered the idea that the US is a beacon of justice and human rights, and irreversibly cemented the hypocrisy of American moral exceptionalism. The empire has never been so exposed, and it's shown Americans, who back in the imperial core continue to struggle to live decent, dignified lives, where all their tax money is going, and where it's definitely not. The US has been an empire since its very conception. From colonizing Native American land, to conquering territories overseas, to dominating world politics through global institutions, military might, corporate interests, and foreign meddling. Of all the empires that have risen and fallen, none have come close to having the reach and power of the US, so the idea of it losing its hold over the world seems inconceivable. But while all these symptoms are unfolding and the US empire erodes from within and without, it's not doing so in a vacuum. It does so in the middle of a global shift in geopolitics, in a world that's becoming increasingly multipolar, with countries choosing new allies, new frameworks for collaboration, even new currencies.
And that's where it's going to start attacking, right there. The new currencies. We already have, we're almost done. We already have people complaining. They're crying. Why me?
Student loan.
Me. So I have to work so hard. Why do you have to work so hard? Check this out. Maybe because you never did. You know what I'm saying? It's bad now. Wait till it gets better. Now you guys already know there's no eggs anywhere, right? You guys already know that. At least in California. You live in California, you're not gonna find eggs anywhere. Not Costco, not Walmart. I mean, you will, but they're like $9, $10. Those are facts.
This is the fall of America. It will be a quick, sudden disappearance.
I don't know how any of you guys are going and going and going. I know you gotta be at the same level of mental health as me. Every day it's something new. Between the fucking news and the stupid Biden and stupid Trump. And this country fucked. Every day we're spending more and more money. None of us are getting ahead.
The way we live in the United States is not normal. Now, I'm not exactly sure when it happened, but it became crystal clear to me that something is wrong with the United States.
America is not what it once was. I've got some bad news for people who don't travel internationally. The world hates us, okay? We're not the big dogs. We don't have the clout that we once had. We aren't even like statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore.
Wagwan. Whoever is watching this video and is celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, you know? So
between the news and the stupid Biden and stupid Trump. And this country's... Every day we're spending more and more money. None of us are getting ahead. The rich people are the ones that are fucking getting ahead. I'm tired of struggling. I've done everything I can. I'm trying to be a good man. I take care of my daughter. I take care of my wife. The best I can. I can't keep going. Every day it's something new. And then on top of that, as if you're not trying to spend money, you have to. Fucking everything's expensive. I own a painting company, I still can't fucking make it. I'm fucking trying, man. I can't look at my daughter and my wife and know I'm failing. I'm fucking
We aren't even like statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore. And I've traveled internationally over COVID. Obviously, I stopped. And there's always been an underlying tone that America is dangerous. But you know, we run Hollywood, so a lot of the media that is consumed by people in other countries is still American. However, I'm on my first international trip since COVID, and it has gotten worse. I've heard from every nationality that America is dangerous, but I arrived in Indonesia, which is a country that, you know, a lot of people aim to get out of and go to America. And the first thing that my taxi driver says to me is that he's afraid of America. Shit.
And I thought it was the UK that was on its arse. Seems like these Americans are really fucking struggling with the cost of living crisis. Check this video out. Tell me it don't break your heart. How can someone earning $80,000 a year be struggling to live? This is fucked.
And we are literally the brokest we've ever been. Brokest we've ever been.
But I'm making the most money I ever had my entire life. My husband and I, between the two of us, gross, make like over $80,000 a year. And if you told me a few years ago that $80,000 a year was not going to be enough for a family of four.
I make more than what I made back in 2015. But I am still literally living paycheck to paycheck.
I have to work 60 hours a week and make $80,000 a year to make ends meet. That's insane. I can't even begin to wrap my head around it.
You live in America. You live in the freest, safest country in the world.
There's 165 countries in the world that have freedom for their citizens, and America ranks number 23 among those in terms of actual individual freedom that their citizens have. Also among those countries, 72 of those have universal access to healthcare for all their citizens. America's not one of those. It's crazy because Americans work the 13th years among these countries while also paying the 13th highest.
I think you guys get the picture on this one. I don't gotta go deeper on that shit. So let me remind you who we are.
En el roofing, solo los más valientes.
We don't care what season, what time. It is what it is. We bring it. This is who we are. You're battling now, $80,000 winner. My mom didn't make more than $8 an hour in her entire life, and somehow we fucking made it. Maybe because some of us work 2-3 jobs. I'm not saying me myself, but our gente has. Anyways, listen to this. We're not crying. There's a
En
reason
el
for it.
roofing, solo los más valientes guerreros aztecas y mayas se atreven a trabajar. Este es uno de los trabajos más peligrosos en los Estados Unidos. En el roofing.
United States, or who's running it in. Yeah. Go check the really rich areas.
You know, the funny thing is, in the media will tell you that that's why CNN sucks. And NBC sucks, too. And obviously Fox sucks. What they don't tell you is that the facts, you know. Latinos are on welfare less. Latinos commit crimes less. Latinos create jobs more. Latinos create new businesses more. See, those are stats. Those are metrics I can prove to you. Latinos pay more taxes to help you retire, and they sacrifice so that you can, right? Most Latinos who come here undocumented work and pay into Social Security without ever getting any of the benefits from Social Security. Yeah, to the tune of like $80 billion a year.
All right, so we're almost done. There you go, bro. All the problems, dude. Listen, it's because they're not spiritually fit anymore. Their spirit is gone, or they're being misled by stupid ass advices and shit. Like, listen, here's one dumb advice.
What's going on, everybody?
One dumb advice. For a moment, I kind of thought this guy actually had some sense, but then he said this dumb shit. It's like, bro, for real, bro, for real. Listen to this. He has the answer to their problems, family. He has the answer to their problems. Oh yeah, look, he's gonna share it with us right now. He knows how to fix this problem. When they get rid of the Mexicans, he says he has a solution. Let's listen to his solution real quick, okay? And then we'll show you one more video, and then that's it. You guys can enjoy the rest of your day and on celebration. All right, let's go.
This is Afro Think Tank, and this is Latinos that's looking to ally with black people once again. You know, now that we see what this administration is doing, right? And this video is not to bash Latinos for their decision-making skills. All right, it is what it is, and there's nothing that can be done about it now, right? You guys showed us, showed us who y'all are now. There are consequences that you guys are specifically gonna have to deal with because you voted against your best interest.
Keep in mind that he's at the same time in a condescending manner saying, "Oh, well, I can't really judge you for your stupidities." What did you have to offer that people would have actually benefited from? Black music, black entertainment. If you look at Kamala Harris's actual campaign, that's what it was about. She was having Beyonce, just rappers, all kinds of shit, man. Like, how does that even relate to the purpose? She really didn't have anything, bro. If you really pay attention to her, she was just backing up Biden. But see, the thing is that I think some of you guys forget that it's a white and black checkboard. So I guess we should see our way out of it, right? Okay, let's figure out this great solution this dude has.
Right, but I hear some Latinos, some of their new arguments is, well, if you deport us, all your grocery store going to go up, all your food is going to go up. They're kind of like on their way out the door, or perceivably out the door. Their thing is, they are, I wouldn't say bragging. I would say they would basically want to say, hey, look, we're the ones who produce and pick all this food that you go and you buy at the grocery store, right? You complain about food prices. Watch what happens when we're not there, right? And the thing is, what I want the Latinos to realize is that, yeah, that's going to happen initially, but this is the first time where they really, truly, honestly can afford to get rid of you guys. And I don't think you guys understand that. And the thing is, I do understand that, you as Latinos don't get valued, for the things that you do in this country, properly, right? Like African Americans, we can say we built the country, we did this, we financed the country. The reason why the country is rich is because of our labor. That's how we built it. And infrastructure wise, we built and did all these things, right? We also used to pick the fruit. We also used to do all the fixing, all the carpentry, all the plumbing. We used to do all that. That used to be our job. And then, you guys came along and you took those jobs as black people, started to elevate themselves within.
If that were the case, it's not true. But if that were the case, are we comparing like a small amount of homes being carpenters and shit? Or are we talking about actual Freemasons, like masons, drywall, plumbing, electrical, roofing, adding addition, foreman, on a massive scale, track homes? We're talking about 360 million people here. And you want to say, well, we used to be the carpenters, you know what I'm saying? How many properties were you guys fucking fixing? And when has that even occurred? Historically speaking, when does it? You guys can even prove that shit, man. Anyways, let's find a solution, please.
In the economy, right? You guys took those lower jobs. And the reason why you guys got those lower jobs is because the companies didn't want to pay us a decent wage. Because we were like, look, we're going to want more money, because we're trying to get into the middle class. We want more money for our work. And the companies was like, well, we'll hire these Latinos because they could do the same work for cheap. That's why y'all call it hard workers, because you work for little money for cheap. But now that the bigger issue is that white people, where they are in the world, on all their colonies, they are being invaded by all the people that they disenfranchised. That's just the truth. That's why in Europe, they're having problems stopping Africans from going into Europe. They're having problems stopping Western Asians and Eastern Asians from going to Europe because the policies of Europeans have destroyed other people's homelands. So they in turn come to go to Europe in order to live and thrive in the economies that's built off the back of their destroyed economies in countries, right? Same with you Latinos. The reason why Central and South America is so messed up is because of the policies of America, right? And because of the policies in America and our tampering with your governments and your flees their own homeland. Even Chinese people, they flee. They're like, America is like this for everybody's store that if you come and participate and you'll get the American citizenship and you'll be equal. You guys are under the impression that you have the ability to become an American and be treated like an American, only you did everything right, right? That's why you were so easily able to throw your fellow Latinos under the bus, right? White collar jobs, not just the blue, other differences. You're going to, the final replacement is going to happen. So they don't need you picking fruit. You know why? First of all, the population of the Western Hemisphere is going down. So there are much less white people than they want to have you believe. That's the truth. There are much less white people than they want you to even believe. All right. Their populations is dropping dramatically because of many different reasons, right? But on top of that, America itself is underpopulated. This is a very big country, and we don't even have 500 are not made to handle those type of people. The capitalistic system is not made to accommodate that many people. The rest of us are slaves, wage slaves, right? They kept the groceries down in American countries. But that money meant something back there because your jobs, like indentured serves, like they do in Dubai, you get treated just as bad, but it's worth it because they don't want to pay you that because they don't want to go up to it. Black need that work. If they can't even ask us to do it. They didn't pay us enough to go in. There's no way. PTSD not happening, right? So white people are not going to do it. Black people are not going to do it. A lot of you Latinos don't want to do it anymore. First, second generation ain't going out there and doing that shit. They want to go be IT professionals and engineers and doctors and shit, right? They're not going out there, right? But what can do it is these robots. I'm not sure if you're paying attention, but these robots are about to be on the field picking fruit. And guess what? They're going to do it better than you. I know it's a hard job picking fruit and vegetables and agriculture, but guess what? These robots are going to do a better job than you. And it's going to be cheaper. They're going to rent these robots from corporations that's building solutions right now in the field to be able to do the thing that you do way more efficient than you. 24 hours, no breaks, no place to have to build. No, they don't have to take care of you. They don't have to bus you around. They don't have to house you. They don't have to feed you. They don't have to deal with logistics of your passport. They don't have to think about human rights. They don't have to think about any of that stuff. They're going to put these robotic, become creative and find other means to make it bad for those who. It's going to be a machine packing it. And they got 10 machines out there working 24 hours in them fields, right? Cutting down almost 180% of their overhead. And they're now bringing in actual profit.
You hear that, family? His great solution is robots. Robots. And he's like, you first generation, second generation, you guys don't even want to do it. I'm sorry, but we're not lazy motherfuckers like you guys. And I'm talking about white and black. I'm being serious. You guys have never harvested. You don't know how to harvest. You don't even like that shit. It doesn't happen in Africa. So for you wobbles that claim that you're natives of here, you guys you never harvested and you still don't. We the ones out there. And what a stupid comment to say. What a stupid comment to say. So let's let a cartoon.
Hey there, folks. Hope you're doing well.
Let's let a cartoon educate some of these idiots, bro. You know, it's like, why do you guys even follow these people? You're smarter than your own good. It comes to show how ignorant you are. Let's find out about these so-called robots that are ready to take over the jobs. Because apparently the black jobs that they wanted, they don't want them black jobs anymore. I guess they don't want the white jobs anymore, right? So let's find out how fast this can turn on people. He says, it wouldn't be a problem. We got robots. You know what I'm saying? We got robots. You Mexicans ain't going to be missed. Okay. After this, we're done. Have a good night.
Today, there's an old phrase, if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to repeat it. And I feel this phrase is really relevant today when we start looking at immigrant farm workers. We don't have to go looking that far back in the past to see the impact that we saw when immigration enforcement impacted the farming industry. Now, this first clip is from 13 years ago, and it had to do with Alabama enforcing new laws about immigration enforcement. Let's take a look.
But when only 5 pickers showed up this morning to harvest his sweet potatoes, farmer Keith Smith saw possible ruin, the loss of his $500,000 crop.
They're running scared because of this new law. And you're in trouble. I'm in trouble, bad trouble.
And so a lot of different outcomes there. Definitely there was a giant monetary loss by the farmer who was about to lose a $500,000 crop. Also, the food that was potentially going to go to waste if he wasn't able to get the help he needed to harvest that crop. And there were people who actually wanted to do the work who were not able to.
Smith's 200 acres need 20 pickers, mostly Mexican nationals.
There is not enough documented people here to supply that workforce.
Most of your workers are here illegally.
That's sure. If they got documentation, they got a better job than working for me.
And right there, he says, if they have documentation, they have a better job than working for me. And this speaks to how challenging this job is and how bad these people want a better life than they had in their country. in their country of origin. It's interesting, whether we're talking about immigrants who came here legally or illegal immigrants, they are all some of the hardest working people I know.
Fernando Aldeman, a Mexican national, has worked Smith's farm since 1992.
Everybody's just scared.
Yeah.
Now, are you here legally? No.
No.
So, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared, you know.
Smith's pickers make about $100 a day. He supports immigration laws, just not this one that threatens his third-generation family farm.
You want to get rid of illegal immigrants? Quick.
Now, this video is a little more recent. It goes back 7 years, and this is during Trump's first term. This also has to do with Alabama and the impact of these immigration laws.
But 6 years ago, Alabama introduced the country's harshest anti-illegal immigration law, and undocumented workers left in droves.
So, you know, there's something to take note of there, right? It didn't sound like as much of enforcement was taking place, but more of discouragement, where laws came into place and these immigrants left in droves. It's much easier to take the path of least resistance and go to the state next door where they don't have these immigration laws.
Third-generation farmer Scott Benton says the effect on farming was devastating.
Pretty bad that year. Like I said, a lot of people left, and all the workers left, and people were, you know, I already had the crops out there ready to harvest, so they didn't have anybody to pick them. So a lot of farms lost their whole crop and went out of business because they lost all the money.
And this is very well going to be the problem that we are going to face.
Of the need for agricultural workers, Jerry Spencer turned to unemployed Americans, but says after 2 weeks, most couldn't cope.
And this only confirms my previous statement about how hard immigrants work. This gentleman tried to replace them with unemployed Americans, and they couldn't cope. They couldn't do the work. I mean, are Americans lazy?
The farmer says, start over here and end over here. And that was the extent of their instructions. With the American workers, they all had to be taught all this and separate, and in addition to the fact that their bodies just were not built for it.
Perfect. It only makes sense to sprinkle a little racism on top of the conversation. So, yeah, very American, very American. Now, I think it makes sense for us to look at something a little more current.
South Dakota dairy farmer Greg Mose supports.
Now, listen, family, this is more current, okay? Keep in mind, we just listened to some brainiac from, I don't know, supposedly Afro think tank. He's so Afro think tank, he says. He thought this really thoroughly. Robots. I guess he's never gone to a grocery store and looked at the variety of vegetables and fruits that are on the aisles. That each one requires a technique. And by the way, these robots are very expensive. These farmers are getting bailed out almost every year because they can't even afford the material that they're using right now. We're going to find out about your great idea. Especially you guys are going to suffer the most. Let's listen to this. Hey, and you're gonna get blocked for saying stuff like that, bro. Have you ever seen a? Nah, man, we don't need that shit here, bro. Like honestly, bro. Like I don't even like people calling me spick. You know what I'm saying? Or illegal alien, and that shit is as insulting. You don't need. They don't need for that. It is what it is, brother. They done what they done. They're gonna get their shit back. You know what I mean? It's not up to us. It's up to the Most High. Let's go.
It's Donald Trump and his pick of his governor, Kristi Noem, to lead the Department of Homeland Security.
So here we are. We're taking a look at a dairy farmer from South Dakota. He's a big fan of Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem has really been adamant about addressing the illegal immigrant problem, as she puts it. She actually sent the National Guard to the southern border 5 different times. But yet she still hasn't helped her flood victims, claiming that the National Guard can be expensive. And this is the lady they want to put in charge of FEMA. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Let's just keep listening about how this farmer is voting against his own best interests, like most MAGA voters.
The dairy farmer is drawn to what launched Noem into national politics, her pledge of a MAGA-style crackdown on illegal immigration.
Are you worried if there were a mass roundup of undocumented migrants that you might lose workers? You may not have enough workers.
But how are they going to do that? Nobody will be filling the shelves. Nobody will be producing food. Within 2 days, we will not have food.
Well, at least he's not sugarcoating it, right? He's being very candid. Without illegal immigrants being the workforce that we need as Americans, we would run out of food in 2 days.
There will not be food anywhere.
2 days?
Yes.
Does Governor Noem understand that?
I would think so. I'm pretty sure.
The best part was the shrug. And then I think so. I'm pretty sure. This just shows how detached all of these people are.
It sounds like you have a lot of faith that they're not going to do what they're saying.
That's pretty much what I'm thinking. We have to trust in our officials that are put in place.
She literally asks him, it sounds like you believe they're not going to do what they're saying. And he says, yeah, you got to have trust in your officials. Like, they're literally saying this is what they're going to do. Are you trusting their words?
He said 2 days. He said 2 days. Right. That you're right. You're right. That's not to take into account the cost of time and water when agriculture is concerned. Yeah, you're right, because they don't have that system just yet. And plus the pruning of the vegetables and the trees and the plants. You know what I'm saying? These fucking idiots, bro. I can't believe. Oh, but you Mexicans don't got to worry about it because we got robots. So, we don't really need you beaners, spicks, and wetbags. You see what I'm saying? Afro think tank talking like a white man. You know what I'm saying? But it's, you guys will get a lot of credit for what you do. Like, that's all we do. Look, show me the first time. And a matter of fact, here's what I'm going to do. Let's just give you guys this and that's it. Where is it at? Oh, shit. I don't have it anywhere. Maybe I do. Hold on. Is it in here? Give me a second. Let me check real quick. If I have it still, then good. If I don't, then sorry. Nope, I don't have it. Anyways, all right, man. Well, listen, I don't want to hold y'all up, man. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, family. You know how it is, man. I appreciate that, by the way. And next time, advise your people, like, the right thing. You know what I mean? You guys... Anyways, I hope it was edifying. Honestly, I really wish I would have had a little bit more time. I just... Hold on. What the hell? I just... I have to take care of something. Anyway, so you guys take care. Have a good night. I'm going to play some music, and then that's it. Other than that, man, thank you for supporting the channel. And for you guys that helped out with the fundraiser, thank you. We're still obviously continuing. I may have to consider somebody in Mexico to do the surgery, so it may not be as much. But anyways, for you guys that have helped, thank you very much. Okay, my son appreciates it. Take care, y'all. Have a good night, and hopefully I'll try to do a class either Wednesday or Friday. All right, take care. Hey, hold on a second, family. I found something interesting. Give me a second here. Hold on. What is this? Hold on. Things I can do. Let's try to do this here real quick. I thought I caught something. Don't leave just yet. This may be interesting. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. I think I see something here. Let's see this here.
Nice.
No. It's nothing important. My bad, mi gente. My apologies. Okay, so anyways, let me just go ahead and finish with the music. Something that caught my eye. No, it has nothing to do with this Democratic dude talking about Charleston White, and I don't, it's not my concern. I don't care about that. All right, give me a second here. My apologies, man. This stuff is running slow, bro. What the hell, dog? What the hell, dog? Look at this. It's crazy. Here, hold on. Oh, see, all of a sudden, it's crazy. I actually put it on mute. It's fun. Man, I apologize, family. I don't know why this is taking so long. Well, I guess I know why, because I'm not in my office and, I'm using another. This Wi-Fi is probably not that great. So that's probably why. But anyways, all right, man. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Shalom.
Never frozen.
Soplón. ¿Qué pasa, Isabel? Batería de Rapunzel, de rap. De la gato de guay, la pega. De cruel con un viejo coronel, soy flojo. Soy un joder.
Me llaman para que les dé al menos una vez al mes. Se metieron al lago y olvidaron que era el Ness. For everybody bless. La fama es una puta. Me está llamando a las 3. Dile que llame después de las 16 y 25. Volví de la infancia de Abraham Lincoln. Con fuerza ya inco. Luchando para salir del Lincoln. De esta calle en City brinco. Después de que tu viejo te lo mande. Sale de vez en cuando. Como el compro por los Andes. Mi cuerpo no es de madera como Tandy. A mí que me brande. Seré lo que los expande, aunque no me piquen la madera, si en mi carro me y que no me ven pa' afuera, lo pongo en la carrera, que se la gravedad, te espero en la barrera y te pongo en la novedad, y me puso de espera, encontré manera. Porque yo cruzando escalones dentro de la escalera. La vida me puso de depósito, yo se recuerdo para que el mundo conociéramos. De parte mejor y te escapar de las cordilleras y luz afuera. El espectáculo dentro, la calle mi templo. Siempre movimiento, cuando me concentro, mis disparos son temas de un poema. Desde cuando entro, y cada día se otro gatito que te entra rapeando. Eso es el centro de mi balcón. La habitación dentro de mí. Pero la magia no tiene valor. Y me preocupa yo no sé qué. Todo, ya me sé la cuestión. Y me fue por cada rincón. Consciente de la operación, no le maté con el dado bufón. Y aunque la maldita casa de rey y papá. Pero mi la ciudad. Hip hop peruano. Rap de la maldita base. Ya. Huyendo de la envidia como los niños sencillas de la bomba que le manda el Pentágono. Y todo el día, mamá mía, aquí vinimos a sonreír, luego están la neva, fía, neva. No, la travesía de la vida más que misericordia. Dios en nuestra plaza siempre vaya a favor, no. Tú podrás cambiar, traicionar a tu familia, matar tu sangre que vos sabías. Pero yo no. Familia, es el que está al mínimo. Familia, con fatal más cristalinas. Familia, basta traer familia. Magna White son familia, ya no maniga.
شو من حالي هلي بالك قبل كبير ولا بياري وأنا جاي تاني يوم وبعد سالي لا بيا فوليا ولا داري خواجة شو من حالي هلي بالك قبل كبير ولا بياري وأنا جاي تاني يوم وبعد سالي لا بيا فوليا ولا داري هو شوية من اليوم سافر بيا فرق من أفلام كما شغل التمام كل شوف إنه أفضل أقوى mi dolor, y por eso que le ponga paz, viviendo tú siempre. Burruco bimba, el que todo por la familia. Burruco bimba, y por eso vengo a bendecir. Burruco bimba, el que todo por la familia. Burruco bimba, y por eso vengo a bendecir. Familia. Es el que está al mínimo. Familia, con fatal más cristalinas. Familia, basta traer familia. Magna White son familia, ya no maniga.
Magna superescalón, subiendo los escalones, metálico escalón, esquivo los escalón, esos tiros van de palo, pero piso rascamalón. Aunque me enrollo nada, callando nunca me paro. Danzas de mí no se pueden medir, buscan el elixir, deja metalizado. Y es que yo soy así. Y no van a descubrir sexy flow y skill con este descaro. Si familia necesita mendigado, por un conexión andar filtrado. A mí nadie quería ayudar y día yo. No mames, han llegado. Están aquí piano para soportar el dolor como racinas. Es la vida en ámbar. Aunque creas que no puedes tú solo con la movida. Yo llevaré tus bambas, familia, fighting the hate and the media, familia. It's original, manna! Familia, fighting the hate and the media, familia. Yo soy un rocket, ellos la brilla. Con los míos siempre se lo baila. Menea, melena, remueve la vaina. Cada fuerte para que no se caiga. Son los magna. Final. Con los míos siempre se lo baila. Menea, melena, remueve la vaina. Cada fuerte para que no se caiga. Son los magna. Voz final. Ni para millas, sin mirar y sin mirar. Sin asimilar que la putaridad de tu vida urgo. Tu mano te la yo te ríes de papillar mientras fillas de no pilla y se va por la furgo. Te falta una película y una cura. Si se apura quizás llega la locura de mi turbo. Dale vueltas a la partícula, deja ya la Pura quieta que sola llega a Luxemburgo. Mi familia tengo autoridad. Así que no puedo pagarla. Y perder enemigos están en el corazón. Cuando bata, pero se sabe que va a probarla. Voy a caer en el party donde está gata. Guata que el guata en alma. Vive moviendo de la envidia como los niños en Siria de la bomba que le manda el Pentágono. Todo el día, mamá mía, aquí venimos a sorrir a la web, man, never fear, never, no. La travesía de la vida más que misericordiosa. En otra cosa siempre vaya a favor, no. Tú podrás con mi respeto. A tu familia mata tu sangre, ya lo sabías, pero yo no. Familia, familia, es el que está a la mínimo. Familia, familia, con calma, cristalinas. Familia, familia, Rastacha. I am familia, familia, familia. Magna White, son familia, ya no maniga. Bombo cry, the singing cross the live on them. Warfare, vengo con los míos, Magna Gate, fire them. Bombo cry, sing it, land on them. Warfare, vengo con los manas, Gate, fire them. Girls stop, shut up on the microphone ballad. And let's smoke the marijuana, psycho, put a bombo clap. Bang bang in the street, you burn the feel away. Rasta man, over Illuminati, play the kill. Marijuana psycho pura bombo clap. Bang bang in the street, fire burn the villa with key cray. It's a king, Magna sting. Nobody no kill them. In a crazy style. Chale, no fire them. It's a rasta ganja. Nobody no kill them. It's a crazy style. Tally, the fire cream. It's a rasta ganja. Familia, Rasta Chai is familia. Kikray is familia. Pure Nego is familia. Siku, Kimagneto, familia. Es el que está a la mínima. Familia. Compactar más cristaleras. Familia.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.